We've got one shot.
This is absolutely spectacular.
We've only got one shot. We've got one shot, one shot. Do you feel alive? We've got
What a
one
race
shot,
we
one
are
shot.
watching here.
We've got one shot. Do you feel alive? Get in.
Threading the eye of the needle with surgical-like
We won't
precision.
back down to feel alive. Waiting for the chance to show the world who we are. We've only got one shot. We've only got one shot.
It's an outstanding overtake.
We gotta do it right to feel alive. Waiting for the chance to show the world who we are. We've only got one shot.
Welcome to Creator Series Season 13.
Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to the F1 Creator Series, round number 8. We were hungry last week, but now we head to the longest track on the Creator Series calendar. It's the Singapore Grand Prix. It is a test of endurance for our drivers. The drivers will have to endure 62 laps of this circuit. Plus, we got quite a lot of reserves filling in today. More information to come later on. My name is Jess Ball. I'll be your host for this evening, and we do hope we're going to keep you company for the rest of the season. But I'm not alone. Joining me in Clipbook Corner, it is Clipbook Carl. Carl, how are you doing, and how are you feeling about Singapore?
I'm feeling good. It's great to be back in Clipbook Corner. It's been a minute since I've been here, but no, extremely good. Singapore, philosophy again, completely different. Well, quite similar to Hungary in many ways. It's all out push. Don't need to worry about any of this pesky battery management. And critical week maybe in terms of the championship, because we're into the second half of the season, and a lot of the heavy hitters aren't here today, which is a good thing if your name's Tom97 or Lolin Ober, because in Hungary, well, it all looked very good for Alex Gillen.
Yes, Alex Gillen came from last on the grid to win the race. The safety car helped him in the end, but he had some good pace throughout to keep him in contention. He gained like 10 places in the opening 7 laps, which was crazy. But Tom97, it went its way last week, didn't it? But it came to the last safety car, and that pretty much screwed him. And here is the standings. And Tom97, P3 in the championship, you could just count him as a full-time driver if you want.
It'd be really good, to be honest with you. P1 for Alex Gillen, 13 points, which is quite a comfortable lead in the championship context, ahead of Tim at Marduk. Then you've got Tom97 and Lolin Ober. Big news flash in the background. Lolin Ober, he's quite quietly confident of his chances at Singapore, so great expectations await. Razin's P5, Meraki in 6th. GB is in 7th with Ricky 03, Kareem 70, that guy Vince rounding out your top 10.
Yes, and of course we've got Hayden Gullis doing very well this season as reserve in 11th. We've got Ryan 83 in 12th, Safso 13th, Grid Jokes 14th, Emphatic in 15th. He's going to hope that he could capitalise on people's absences this week. Nick Flied in 16th, Scory Designed, by the way, in 17th. We've got Concept, Fimex, Matt212, Dave Gaming and Adam Sanderson rounding up the 22 that you could see on the screen. We do have 11 reserves here this evening, but we've got 2 more people to introduce first. We have our commentators that will be taking you through proceedings. Welcome to Tom Wilkinson and Alex Heron. Tom, this is going to be interesting. 11 reserves today because everyone seems to be at the Gillen Games this weekend. How's that going to change the championship?
Nobody's here. It's like a completely different roster. Like you said, it's what, 50% that we're missing? So interesting. Some drivers returning that we are very familiar with from previous seasons. Some people coming in that we haven't seen too much of in the past. So what we've actually ended up with is still quite a nice mix of drivers, and we're going to be in that position where we don't know what's going on. We might be getting a special guest coming in. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Hopefully that works out. But yeah, as Carl mentioned, championship's really interesting. Tom97 been on pole here twice at Singapore before without winning this Grand Prix, so he's got a really good chance. As does Lolly, reigning champion. Can't forget him. So plenty of things to maybe disrupt that Ben Gillen monopoly that was going on at the top of the standings, but both of them not here.
Yes, of course. Alex was the one who organised this thing, and he's going to hope, like we saw in the last few seasons, that that's not going to affect him too much. And Alex, this is the track, like Carl was saying, like Hungary, you don't need to use much battery. The traction zones are going to be tricky, and of course, it's going to be a test of endurance. How are they going to cope around 62 laps around Singapore?
Yeah, it's one of the most stressful and obviously long tracks on the calendar. I mean, battery-wise, as mentioned by Carl, it is not actually that necessary to save your battery around here. There's only a couple of straights that you can really use it on, and it's more of you can overtake around here, unlike in previous seasons. Obviously, we have the new long back straight towards the end of the circuit after it was changed a few seasons ago from where it went under the grandstands. So I think that'll be an interesting place to see some drivers overtake. Obviously, the straight line mode is enabled in a couple of those sectors, but obviously Singapore always known for a little bit of rain on the horizon as well, so maybe we can get some wet weather to spice up what is going to be a very spicy Grand Prix, considering the fact that we've basically got a grid full of underdogs, and one of them has to be the big dog.
Yeah, exactly. We have seen many times where reserve has actually gone on to win the race. I think I remember in Imola one time, I think the first time it happened, Hayden Gullis went on the podium and took advantage. He is, of course, racing tonight for Team Marduk. We got other reserves here as well to keep an eye on. Nick Fly is going to be filling in for GB68. We got Hoodie Pete that's going to be filling in for Ryan. Tom 97, well, I think I would expect him to reserve at this point. He's been here every week. He's filling in for Meraki. Dark Viper in for Adam Sanderson. Formula Kai is back. Excited to see him back. He's going to be in the Red Bull for Razin Chai. We got Chris in for Alice Gillen. But that is going to be interesting to say the least. We got Skyzy, the French continuant, back. I'm excited to see how he could do. He's filling in for Gwatz. King Cryptic is going to be filling in for Matt212. Payer's back, which I'm really excited. We haven't seen him in a while. It's great to see him race. And hot off the press, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a super sub. We was meant to be Davide. Clipbook Carl has gone off Clipbook. He's going to be racing here in Singapore, Tom.
Carl's got a 50% win rate in the Korea Series. And on his debut, remember, came in as a reserve. Absolutely dominated at Imola. So no pressure, Carl. We're obviously going to be, or hope we're going to be able to talk to Carl throughout the race. But yeah, looking forward to that one jumping late. If you haven't seen Carl before, pretty darn quick. So watch out, Lolly, Kareem, Tom 97. You've got someone coming for you.
And Carl did not just practice half an hour before the race to prepare for this. Just say it. And Alex, looking at the reserves, any other reserves have you been keeping an eye on to possibly challenge the likes of Lolly Nova for the win today?
Well, we've got Formula Kai coming back in as well, so that'll be an interesting one to see how he performs back in Creator Series for this afternoon. But Singapore is such a sort of random track anyway. I mean, it's always guaranteed to be either very exciting or very, very dull. So hoping with all of these changes, it's going to be very, very exciting. Fingers crossed, everyone. But yeah, I think it's going to really spice up this track. Obviously, when you've got the likes of Gillen and Ben, at the top of at the top of qualifying around this circuit, you expect them to go on to win it. But because we have such a different grid on today, you could see a lot of people mixing up maybe in the top 2 or maybe in the top 10. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And of course, obviously, we're backing our boy Carl from Clipbook Corner to go on and win this one here this afternoon.
Yeah, I think any time we have a commentator that fills in as reserve, we kind of have a little bit of bias, but we have to be impartial here at the Creator Series. But of course, we'll be rooting for Carl, and if he bottles it, then he won't hear the end of it. Just saying. Let us know in the chat, by the way, who you think is going to be winning this one. And of course, every time someone says where's Ben, we're probably going to be saying something different. So there you go. But qualifying then, we're about to get underway with that very soon. Let's get our predictions in. Tom, who do you think is going to be your money for pole position?
I mean, I don't want to. The glazing can't go on forever, right? But I'm putting my money on Carl. I think we have to, as commentators, we're taking over. Carl's going to go out and put some manners on some of these guys.
What about you, Alex?
Now you said Carl, I feel like I want to go for that, but maybe I should go completely random and just see. You know what? He gets put down a lot, but maybe with any of the big boys not here, maybe it's Infratic's time to get that pole position in Credit Series and then go on to win the Grand Prix. So I'm going to say Infratic is going to at least put it on pole.
Well,
Can't even keep a straight face while I said that.
No, and saying that, it probably might not happen because every time everyone predicts Emphatic, he probably doesn't get pole position. So we got a few predictions in the chat whilst we wait for qualifying to begin. We have HT, quite a few supports for Carl in the chat. I think we have word from our producer. We could get him back in his rig. Last minute notice. Carl, how are you feeling?
Stressed. I'm not gonna lie, I'm stressed. This is not how I expected my evening to go. It'll be interesting, honestly. Like, it will genuinely be interesting because, like I said, it's really about how the driver is connecting with the car out there. It's not any of this battery management. You've got to attack every single curb like it's the last lap. You've got to attack every single straight, attack every single point in the battery as early as you possibly can. So in that sense, the dynamic of the racing is going to be really interesting, I think. Quite similar to what we saw maybe in Hungary. So we'll see. I'm up for the fight. Let's see how we can do. No pressure though.
Quite a few people obviously don't need the practice, and you only had half an hour of practice. I think you'll be fine. Where do you think you'll be aiming to qualify? I think quite a lot of us predicted you to go for pole. Is that a possibility? Of course, you don't know much about everyone's pace compared to yours.
I don't know. It's tricky to say. I never really... My qualifying pace I won't usually back. It's more the race pace that I feel like I can actually make ends meet with. So if qualifying doesn't work out, I won't be too displeased if I can get in and around the top 5. That'll be good. Anything up from that is a bonus. Or I might just start from the back for a laugh. I don't know yet. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. As Lord Gillen himself said, qualifying does not necessarily matter.
Yeah, because with him starting at the back of the grid after having a horrific qualifying, we see GB68 and Team Mardik in Austria came all the way from the back of the grid to win the race. So it is possible. Tom, any final words for Carl before he goes racing?
Don't drive into people that might come into chats and get annoyed.
That's good advice. I like that. Thank you, mate.
And what about you, Alex?
You got to use the car and the steering wheel
Good.
to turn around corners.
Hmm.
There you
All
go.
right, sound. That's sound advice. What would I do without you guys?
Exactly.
Yeah. Obviously, it was last minute notes. I think we're still waiting for a few drivers to get in to the lobby. Carl, how far are we for getting going?
Oof. I mean, there's apparently one space left to fill in the context of the drivers. Never mind, we're readying up. Scratch the 22nd driver. We're going anyway. About 20 seconds until we go. One thing I will say, let's just watch out for the brakes. In particular, on the wet weather laps, they get really spongy on the front tyres towards the end. So if anyone's going to make mistakes, keep an eye out there.
And of course, the wet tyres, the intermediate tyres, are banned in the Creator Series. So the first opportunity for people to get to points in the Creator Series tonight is the wet pole position. It's going to be a lot harder with the higher tyre temps, Tom, in these conditions.
It's hard normally, but I think, yeah, we're going to see people really, with those rear tyres in particular, those temperatures are going to be skyrocketing. Not a lot of grip at all, tricky traction zone. So we usually see Lolanova separate from everybody else in that particular aspect, but whether he can do it the same, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and Alex, who do you think could be a possible candidate to get some extra points at the start of qualifying?
Oh, Carl, easily. Carl's got that pole position in the bag for wet pole. No pressure, Carl.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. As you can probably tell, we're putting too much pressure on Carl. But this evening, because that's how it works. We tend to put quite a lot of pressure on our commentators, but. We are about to get underway again. Let us know your predictions. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you follow us on our social medias right at the top so you can keep us up to date throughout the week. Of course, we have 11 reserves now racing in the Creator Series this evening due to a lot of people missing. Could this change up the championship? Could we see a Lonnie Noble win today? Well, we're going to have to find out. Let's hand over to our commentators of Alex Heron and Tom Wilkinson. Take it away, Tom.
Muchos gracias, Jess. Looking forward to this one. Qualifying to start things off. We're going to get wet to begin with. I don't think that is a wet circuit, although it is definitely overcast. Oh, no, it's not. It's dark. Can't see the clouds because the the sky is black. But like we mentioned, a lot of reserves. Just to read out the people that aren't here. Safso, Matt212, GB68, Ryan83, Meraki, Razin, Mango, Tim, Malik, Adams, Anderson, Gwatz, and Alex Gillen. Lot of big hitters in that one. Which means, Alex, we have no race winners from this season on the grid as things stand. So we are going to be crowning, for somebody, a first race victory of Season 13.
Well, that is a big moment as well. And there's a lot of these guys in this list that have not even won a Creator Series race before, let alone been on the podium at all. So that could be a really spiced up moment. It's like we're watching the US Grand Prix from 2005 when half the drivers didn't turn up due to them not being able to race on their tyres. But at least we have 21 drivers out on the track. And we still got some heavy hitters like, your Tom 97, like your Ricky 03, like your Lottie Nobers and your Hayden Gullises, all capable of putting in a good lap. But of course, Mr. Carl is the one we're going to be keeping an eye out for, down in 18th place right now in the Haas car. So let's hope he can put a good lap together.
Most certainly drivers that we do, like you said, need to keep an eye out for. Kareem 70 finished 8th place in 3 of his last 4 starts. This is a circuit that he's got some decent pace around. Can he finally get himself out of that rot that he seems to have got into? Has only got 1 podium so far this season. Reigning champion, Lolanoba hasn't won yet as a Creator Series champion. Tom 97 has been so consistent so far. He's finished 3rd in 4 of the last 5 races. Another driver that we very much need to keep an eye on, and a 2-time pole sitter at the Singapore Grand Prix in the past, Season 3 and in Season 6. But of course, it is the Wet Pole Challenge to kickstart our 18-minute qualifying session. Usually it's Safso that's first to venture out on the circuit on the blue-striped wet compound tyre. I think it's a Ferrari, so it might be his teammate Ricky 03, or it might be Perry, who's returning for the first time in over 2 years. Haven't seen Perry since the F1 24 game back in Season 7, I think that was. So it'll be interesting to see how he comes in. If you remember back to Perry when he was in the Creator Series, had some really strong pace.
Yeah, he certainly did. But obviously the landscape of Creator Series and the landscape of Formula 1 has changed a lot since that game. See, 2026, these regulations have been catching some people out and changing basically your entire driving styles, going from a very ground effect, heavy downforce era to what we are now, which is, based on a lot of energy management and a little bit less downforce going into some of these corners. But hopefully that doesn't affect them too much, as they're going to go for their first flying laps here, as we've got a yellow flag in Sector 2 already for Ricky 03, I believe. He might have gone straight on into the wall. But here we go, the full wet tyres going for their first lap.
Yeah, and it's Ricky that was the first to cut the Beamstar lap. He's on the soft tyres, so thank you very much, Ricky, for ruining all of our fun, and our Delta times are going to be absolutely screwed as a result. But it's Vince the first to tackle this circuit on the wet compound tyre circuit. Like you mentioned in the intro, we can see a little bit of rain around. If it wasn't almost like an endurance race before, as the Aston Martin just in the background gets incredibly out of shape. Not 100% sure who it was. I think it was Chappers or potentially Nick Flyers having a bit of a wobble as they came through turn number 5. But Vince through the first set to look fairly steady so far. Obviously 2.5 seconds down on Ricky 03's benchmark, but quicker than Nick Flies. But he is 4/10 down already on Lolanoba, the reigning champion.
It certainly is, but he's really pushing this car through. So we go into turn 10, what used to be the Singapore Sling, and then getting over what is the Anderson Bridge, turns 11, and a slight turn into turn 12, before the heavy braking zone of turn 13, and swinging it into that left-hand corner, where there used to be, obviously, a DRS zone, but now in modern-day Formula 1, we have got the straight line mode enabled there, for another braking zone into turn 14, and then into what is now a long stretch of road from turn 15. Used to have the little turn to the right hand side going into and underneath the stand. There's now just a big straight line as Ricky 03 sets the fastest lap on the soft tyres, but we're paying attention to the wet tyres lap first. Turn 17 guided nicely, turn 18 and 19 basically a flat left-hander on a set of dry tyres, but on a set of wets we do a 1:37.1, and that's the benchmark time they are all chasing here, as Lottie Noba goes 1:36.487, and now that's a benchmark time.
Smashes it by 7/10 of a second. puts Vince on the back foot. Hayden Gullis on his outlap invalidated. Nick Flies has made an error, as has Formula Kai out there on the wet compound tyres as well. Looking at Carl progress, decent first sector, a little bit down on Lolanova's personal best by about 1/10 of a second. As we watch Chappers throwing it through the final couple of corners, back of the car, very, very wobbly indeed for the Green Machine, and he goes 5th of the 5 times we've got so far. Chris slotting into 2nd place in the intermediate chariot race, but 6/10 down on our Italian stallion Lolanova, and this is one of the drivers that could take it away. Hoodie Pete with a 34.8 on the soft tyres. Must have been a bit of a malady out there somewhere to be over 6 seconds off the benchmark pace of Ricky 03. But what can the former champion? Just the one podium so far this season. Great opportunity to get himself back on the bike and back going again. Cream to the line, steals it for the time being by just 0.03 of a second.
Lovely lap that is from Kareem. We've still got drivers on their lap. Carl being held up here by a Red Bull on those soft tyres. And that is going to really affect his lap. But he's on a good lap here, actually. But that might cost him in terms of that point for pole position. It's a 37.231. And could that holding up in that final sector cost him that singular point that he's been looking for as he jumps in very late notice into the Singapore Grand Prix? But at the moment, 12 minutes on the clock. Looks like Kareem is in pole position for that wet pole time.
That is now confirmed as we dip below the 12-minute mark. And for the first time this season, it is Kareem 70 who takes the wet pole position point, and that'll be a nice little confidence boost, won't it, for Kareem, beating Lolanova, who's had a monopoly of this wet pole challenge for the majority of this season, beating him by 1/3 of a tenth, 36.4 for the pair of them, and a decent whack clear of that group behind. Carl wasn't particularly quick in the middle sector, so I don't think he would have taken it anyway, despite being hampered in the last sector as well. But we can now turn our attention to the soft tyre run. Still Ricky 03 leading the way, 4/10 clear of our returning Frenchman of M. Skyzy, with Tukey and Hoodie Pete a little bit further off the pace.
Yeah, we're going to get now these good, fast, soft tyre run. Obviously, it's quite a long circuit around here, looking at the 1:28.7 for a good old lap. And Ricky 03, I'm sure he can go a bit faster than that. But yeah, it's a little bit of a pace difference between the drivers. Hoodie Pete, I'm sure there was a better lap in him than a 1:34.8. He must have made some sort of mistake during that lap. And as we see Grid Jokes here going for his first flying lap of the session, and it's looking very nice and smooth here on this opening lap.
Fastest through Sector 1. Has got a couple of pole positions to his name in his Creator Series history, although qualifying hasn't necessarily been one of his strongest suits this season. Maybe we'd have been hoping to achieve a little bit more, but has definitely got the outright pace when he hooks everything up. We're looking to try and eclipse Ricky 03 and take that provisional pole position time away from him. Low 28s, maybe high 27s, the time we're going to be looking at for pole position. We'll have to wait and see how hooked up the drivers can get. Need to mention a bit of a driver swap going on as well. Scotty Designs, by the way, our meme king, doing a driver swap with Jakey at the moment. Scotty doing qualifying, I believe. Then it'll be Jakey taking the first stint, and then Scotty taking over after the first pit stop. As we continue to watch Grid Jokes in the racing ball, little bit wide there through the first part of the 16-17 chicane. Just 18 and 19 left to deal with. Carry as much speed as you possibly can without falling out of the track limits. When we cross the line, we are a couple of tenths down. Fastest in Sector 1, just leaking a little bit in the middle and final sectors to Ricky.
Yeah, you could see that on that middle sector, just going towards the Anderson Bridge. He just went a little bit wide coming out of turn 11 and 12, and that lost him a few tenths of a second. Tukey here on a decent flying lap as well. A good first sector, and has lost a little bit of time in the middle sector there, so maybe not finding the pace that he needs in this Red Bull here. But currently in P4, and I'm sure he'll be picking up the pace shortly. But a lot of the other drivers getting out there for their first out laps and then getting their first laps on those soft tyres. Tukey is going to finish his lap. Let's see where it places him. He's going to come around the final corner and he's going to go for a 1:29.6. 6 tenths faster than his previous time. But looking at over at our telemetry here, he did lose a lot of time in the middle sector and in the final sector.
Now, final sector not too bad, couple of tenths, but yeah, that middle sector losing half a second to Ricky 03, albeit with that being his second flying lap on that set of tyres. And here is the second Audi of Scotty Designs, by the way, a little bit wider. You can see the car, the front of the car in particular, very unwilling to rotate and bite through turn number 9 and into the Singapore sling. Used to be so much more exciting than it is now. Chuck it through the left-hander. That's a couple of walls as we go bouncing over the Anderson Bridge. Front wing still relatively intact, I think, there for Scotty, but a bumpy ride and doing a bit of wall bouncing for good measure.
Yeah, just coming out again of turns 11 and 12. Just not finding that grip in the car. We did hear from Carl a bit earlier on as Scotty finds the wall again. Little bit too deep there. As Nick Flies goes with a 129.6. 1-0, puts himself into P5. Yeah, Scotty definitely going to need a new front wing after that one. Couldn't find the grip that he was requiring on that car. And this Riccio 3 here is getting a little bit held up by that Aston Martin. And you can see by his face, I think, is he showing upset there on his face?
I'm not sure. The only emotions with Ricky are either... Yeah, there's the shaking head from Ricky, not happy with that one. The difference is when he's happy, he's absolutely elated. Lolanover on a flying lap as well, reigning champion. Just missed out on intermediate pole, little bit too much apex curve there as he hurls it through turn 7, the Memorial Corner. Must have kept it within the track limits though, with playing with fire a little bit over the curve, but still continuing to pound round as he having some pole time as well. Dak Vince, 28.6, lowering that benchmark by just under a couple of tenths. We wait to see the sector times of Lolanova and of Kareem 70 as well. Lolly not the fastest through the first sector, and I think he's bailed in the middle sector. No, matching Riccio 3's personal best, almost down to the microsecond in the middle sector.
Yes, certainly is. That just had a look at that final sector from that guy Vince. As Lolanova goes 28.3, even faster in the final sector, looking very nice indeed, 24.6. in the final sector. Riccio 3, though, is coming through the final sector now. Turn 16 and turn 17. Can they keep themselves going through the final corner? 18 and 19. Flat to the floor now. Back in those ground effect cars, they were flat. And he does go 2 tenths faster, about 2 tenths off Lolly Noba's time, 28.5. Probably that hold up in the first sector cost him a little bit of time, but overall, I think he was just matching him, but made a few mistakes in that final sector, about 2 tenths down.
High to P2, fastest first sector, but still a little bit down on Lolanova. Kareem 70's just gone fastest and by a distance in the middle sector. Hold the back page, everybody. This Kareem getting back to his very best. Final 2 corners to negotiate. A little bit wide, too much curb through 18, but he does go to provisional pole, and that's by a quarter of a second. Is Kareem 70 back in the running, takes over from Lolanova, from Formula Kai. That's quite the benchmark for everybody to chase. Still yet to see what Carl can manage. Concept 7, another driver that's typically very good over 1 lap as well. We're still yet to see Scotty, who's been in the wall a few times, Dark Viper, Infratic, Hayden Gullis, and crucially, Tom 97.
Yeah, certainly is. I've got to say, for Kareem's sector, just had a look at his middle sector, 37 flat in the middle sector, a stonking middle sector indeed, compared to the rest of our drivers, some of them sitting mid-37s or a little bit less than that. But yeah, very nice indeed from Kareem, who is currently on provisional pole. 5 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Now, we were mentioning earlier, Tom, what are your thoughts on this track? Obviously, it's changed a lot with our new regulations, but it's definitely more of an overtaking track than it used to be.
They got rid of that horrible final part of the lap, didn't they? You mentioned it earlier when they went under the bridge. It was a really clumsy sequence of corners, 4 or 5 corners I think it was, where realistically you couldn't overtake. We had a lot of drivers ending up in the wall as well, and I think that was also the place where we had our infamous Nelson Piquet crash gate moment. But we're going to pause on that chat, because here comes Perlia in the second Ferrari through the final couple of corners. Teammate P4, Perlia to P9 on a 29.3, just nesting himself inside the top 10, half a tenth clear of Chappers in the Aston Martin. But with the new track now, I think it is quite nice to drive. I actually haven't driven it, I don't think, in the 26 cars. In the ground effect area, you could find a really nice rhythm, really nice flow around the circuit once you found it. Sometimes, though, it can be quite difficult to get into that rhythm, but much improved. And even though it can be a bit of a maligned circuit because the racing's not always the best, when you do find that run, it is pretty nice.
Yeah, I think it's one of those tracks, if you can hook it up nicely, you really get a nice feeling of driving it. And here's a man who is going to be setting a nice lap. Pretty Pete there, as you can see, with a lovely banner in the background as well, I must say, on his left-hand side. But he's on a good first lap here. He did a 34.8 for his first lap, but there was definitely more in Hoodie's Pete's time. He crosses the first sector, hitting a 27.2 in that first sector. That is a pretty nice first lap.
About 7 tenths down, but improving significantly on his personal best. Skyzy with an improvement on his last run as well to go to P6 on a 28.7 as we continue to watch the Papaya McLaren of Pete. And here is Tom 97, driver we need to keep an eye on, lighting up the rear tyres as he plants the throttle out of turn 13 His first sector not particularly quick for Tom. Have to say, 27.1, about 6/10 down. His middle sector also about 6/10 away from where he needs to find himself. So whether this is just a warm-up lap for Tom 97 or whether this is actual pace, I'd be surprised if he is that far adrift. We'll have to wait and see. We'll continue on board again, a little bit wide through turn 17. Manages to catch the car on the exit curve of 17. And through 18 and 19, where will this place the former two-time pole sitter? 29.6 for 13th fastest. I find it unlikely that that's his actual pace.
Yeah, looking at his sector times there, he must have made some sort of mistake in that first sector because he didn't gain any more time going through it. And here comes Scotty Designs, by the way, who has looked better in the first sector, 26.4 in that first sector, and he's missed the wall on that sector as well, 37.5, about 5/10 down on what is the fastest time in the second sector. But hopefully looking to get a nice final sector. And here's Hayden Gullers, who is on a nice flying lap as well. 37.8 though in that middle sector. Again, he's not full on time. That is quite the camera angle he's got there. Certainly has.
Hayden's pit never ceases to amaze me. Sometimes he's zoomed in like that, sometimes he's just eating his dinner. We'll have to wait and see what he comes up with next. Carl into P6, 28.7. Scotty improved, but that final, or the fast first sector, just fading away throughout the lap. Hayden goes to P15 on a 29.9. I think he clouted the barrier coming out of turn 14 as he lit up the rear tyres. Just had a bit of a clonk with the wall that's waiting there. Oh, Spooky just ducks underneath his teammate into turn 7. That's not going to be the optimal line, as Kai, I don't think, saw him coming. Just about keeping it on the road. As here is Carl once more on a cool down. Couldn't say a bank lap. He's already got that time in. 6th fastest at the moment. Needs to find a real decent whack, although he is, like we know, a little bit underprepared, being thrown in the deep end at the last moment.
Yeah, we've only got 1 minute left on the clock, 1 minute 30, so that could be his last lap in the session, as Scotty Design, by the way, leaves the session clearly raging out at Gareth's producing.
Absolutely. Did you catch me mid-drink? Unawares,
Sorry,
thankfully I didn't
Tom.
spit it.
I'm really
thankfully I
sorry.
didn't spit it all over the screen. That would have been embarrassing. Ryan 83 here for the Hayden Gullis Masterclass. I think we're all here for the Hayden Masterclass, Ryan, with Hayden taking over, deputising for Ryan's place. P15 at the moment, definitely a decent chunk of time. This is Grid Jokes on a cool-down lap as well. Fimex 30.7 is his best at the moment. To the line 29.4 for P12. Still need to be in that mid-26s, mid-28s realistically. If you want to have any decent chance, if you're in a mid-26, then wow, what kind of hacks are you running there? It'd be very impressive.
Yeah, that's what Tom could do if he wanted to, but he's going to stay in the commentary box just because he doesn't want to show everyone up. But yeah, 40 seconds left on the clock. I think we can get into the 127s here with Kareem, and I'm sure a few others could make it there. We've got a couple of yellow flags, but there is a lot of cars on track right now. It is a busy Singapore track with only 30 seconds left on the clock. As MSC almost losing the rear end there. There is very little grip out on this Singapore Grand Prix circuit at the moment. They are really struggling to get the tyres warmed up. Of course, it's a slightly different tyre model this year as well, so they're trying to get themselves warmed up and ready for what is a last gasp effort for a flying lap, as Infratic is also on his first and only lap of qualifying, currently sitting in 22nd place. So unless he's pulled out a miracle time, I don't think I'm going to get my money back for that pole position.
Ragged middle sector from Skies. Really pushing it hard as Dark Viper to P13, 29.5. About 3/10, 4/10 down where he needs to be, Skies. So he needs the almightiest of almighty final sectors to claw himself into a challenge, maybe for the front couple of rows on the grid. Back of the car a little bit loose. He throws it into turn 18. To the line we go, and the Williams does get himself to P5. Identical lap time to Riccio 3. Tom 97 only 8th fastest on a 28.8. That's a little bit of a shocker. 7/10 down on Kareem 7T's best. Tuki to 30, just ahead of Fimex and Dark Viper. Looking at the sector times, Lolanoba no improvement sector 1. Same thing for Formula Kai, who's a couple of tenths down on his personal best, but has found time with a very competitive middle sector. Can Kai try and finish the lap strongly? He does, to dispossess Lolly of P2.
Yeah, it's really heating up on that track. Doug Vince to the line. Can't go any faster. Stays P6. But Kareem still out on a lap. Lolling Nova is still out on a lap as well, with a very competitive middle sector. We're going to see him come to the line. Hayden Gullis, only 13th fastest. You would have expected a little bit better there. Infratic only went 18th fastest. Kareem crosses the line stays where he is on provisional pole, but Lauren Ober, he said a good first sector, he said a decent middle sector. Can he round it off with a fantastic final sector here? And he goes 55 thousandths faster, but it's not enough for pole position, which means Kareem 70 is on pole position for the Singapore Grand Prix.
Bad final sector for Lolly, really costing him there, and Kareem setting 2 lap times in the end that would have been good enough for pole position. Didn't improve by 1 millisecond on this final run, but he won't care one jot about it because he is back on pole. Ahead of Formula Kai, who on his return gets himself onto the front row. Decent laps from Lolanova, maybe a little bit more time in it after that. Couple of sectors that definitely had him in and around the right ballpark to challenge Kareem with a bit of a buzzer beater. Chris and Ricky 03 rounding out your top 5. We have got some big names and some potential perennial contenders, that's a lot of P's, to try and pick up a race win. Carl going from P8 and Ton 97 just outside the top 10 in 11th.
Yeah, and we've got Concept 7 and Tom 97 in 11th and 12th, respectively. Hayden Gullis in 13th. Nick Flies in 14th. And then we have the Ferrari of, as soon as I get to see it, because it's not on the telemetry. Piaget there in 14th, and then, Piaget in 15th, Tukey in 16th, Fimex in 17th, Infratic in 18th, Dark Viper in 19th, King Cryptic in 20th, Scotty Designs, by the way, in 21st, and then Hoodie Pete rounds out the qualifying list in 22nd place.
And what an interesting qualifier. And of course, Karim absolutely nailed that lap. There was quite a few drivers that kind of sort of disappointed me in a way. Tom 97, Tom, I was expecting him to be up there just a little bit more, but he seemed to have struggled a little bit. But the race is usually where he shines around this track.
Yeah, and qualifying hasn't necessarily been his strong suit this season. He's had a couple of times where he's been down the order, but he's just managed to work his way through. Consistency has been the thing. His race pace has been really strong, really consistent. I've just been trying to get some updates from the Gillen Games. I've seen that Tim at Marduk is supporting Tom 97, so he's going to be a little bit disappointed with Tom back down in P11. But what we know from Singapore is, in history as well, safety cars, definitely apparent. The opening couple of laps can get a bit messy as well. Got a couple of pinch points. Turn 1 is an interesting one. That middle sector can get very tight, especially at the start of it into turn number 7 with the slightly raised apex sausage curb on the inside. So potential for some fireworks, and we'll have to see, because we've got some punchy drivers towards the front that could make things interesting.
Yes, and there's quite a few traction zones that could build the heat in the tyres. And what is going to be interesting, that it is predicted to be a one-stop. But of course, in Creator Series, there's a rule, Alex, where they have to use all 3 tyre compounds. And the soft tyres, they use a lot of wear per lap. So what would the creators think of doing here? Will they want to get rid of the soft nice and early, or will they want to save it at the end, praying for probably an eventual safety car? Because a chance for a safety car around here is almost 100% guaranteed.
Yeah, that 3-tyre compound is going to really spice up our strategy. Of course, as you said, it's usually a one-stop strategy, probably hard to medium or medium to hard. But this time, they're going to have to really think about what they're going to do. I reckon they're probably going to see the soft tyres later on in the Grand Prix. Maybe a couple of people at the back may start on those soft tyres, get themselves through the grid, and then bolt on a set of hard tyres to go long, then mediums towards the end, or the other way around. I think it's going to be very interesting. Safety cars are going to play a big factor in this Grand Prix, and no one's going to want to pull the trigger first, because if they pull the trigger, you guarantee there's going to be a safety car the lap after they pull the trigger. So I think it's going to be a lot of mental mind games going into this one, but I think I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be very interesting.
It's going to be a race where I think strategy is going to be key. Tyre management is going to be key. Not so much on battery management, but they've got to be careful in the race that they don't use it too much. We didn't see in any of the much of the laps, Tom, much people doing a bit of lifting. Is there going to be playing a factor in the race where people will have to do a bit of lifting and coasting? Because Singapore is a track, on the last game at least, where people can underfuel and it's okay. Do you think that's going to be the case today?
It all depends on what your strategy is. If you're using a lot of that overtake mode, you're being really aggressive, maybe you've started down the order, you are going to have to rein it in a little bit, and you will have to go for that lift and coasting. But of course, it will help you with your tyre wear and with your fuel consumption as well. So lots of different balancing act for drivers to try and think about. Do you just play it safe and just sort of chill with your ERS, or do you go aggressive, which means you can go for that sort of backing off, the lifting and coasting, save everything else around you. On the soft tyres, in our Twitch chat, Darkstar Fighter has got the read absolutely spot on. Not going to repeat it, but absolutely correct with the analysis there. I'm thinking I'd be surprised if a lot of drivers don't start on the softs actually, because they're a really bad race tyre. Get those out of the way. We're expecting early safety cars as well. 1, maybe 2. Similar kind of situation to what everybody thought would happen at Madrid. So we'll see if that materialises.
We'll see if that materialises indeed. But the race is about to start, and let's head back to our two commentators, Alex Heron and Tom Wilkinson, for the race start.
Singapore Grand Prix. As we wait for the strategies to be decided, we're expecting early safety cars. 11 full-time drivers, if you missed it, not here today, including the top 2 in the championship and every single race winner so far in Season 13. Opportunities presenting themselves for some of the others in the pack. It's Kareem versus Kai. We are racing for 62 laps of the Singapore Grand Prix. Kareem, I don't think getting off the grid brilliantly, has to cover off the attack from Kai to the inside. Kareem way too late on the brakes, takes a trip off the road, opens the door wide for Kai on his return to blast and barrel straight through and leave Kareem scrapping for second place with the reigning champion. Still on the defensive is the pulses to medium tyres compared to the softs. Definitely going to be a difference maker off the starting blocks. And I think it's Lolanoba just with a nose ahead as they come through the flat-out kink of turn 6. Into the middle sector they fly, hats all over the show. I think that's Chris ducking and weaving behind Ricky. Kareem almost off the road again, still driving in his mirrors. Ricky with a look to the inside, contact further back. But it is Formula Kai from Lolanoba. Round, I think that's Dak Gubbins having a bit of contact. Is that with Kyle? No, it's going to be bad for commentary corner. And there is the virtual safety car. Carbon fibre thrown up all over the show. Kyle's definitely tripped over somebody. I think it was an Alpine that was sideways. But Kareem 17, not the start he would have wanted.
No, not at all. Really wide in that first corner. Just didn't have the grip. As we were talking about in qualifying, it is so little grip out there at the start of this Singapore Grand Prix. But as you mentioned, Tom, a lot of people on those soft tyres. Get them out all the way early and then move on to another set of tyres. We've got mediums across the grid. Only one starting on the hards is Scotty Designs, by the way, down in 20th place. That is an interesting decision considering, as we can see, those soft tyres have really lit up this track early on. But of course, early virtual safety car here from a Lambo driver to just sort of slow it down and get back under racing speed. As we do get restarted, no penalties at all. Formula Kai got a great getaway there, and as you can see, possible race strategies powered by AWS.
Nice little jump there for Kai, remember. Was in Creator Series for a long time as a full-time driver, never picked up a race win. Can he try and steal it on his return? There's a 5-minute 39 first lap time. Absolutely rapid from Kai there. We're unable to see what's going on with the intervals, which is delightful. As into the pits comes Nick Flies, clearly a bit of damage. Same for Fimex in the Alpine. We are up to 22 drivers, by the way, with Fimex jumping in for the race. Annoying that we can't exactly see what's going on. Thank you very much for that, EA Sports and F126. Hopefully that comes back. But it is Kai under the cosh a little bit here. Here comes the reigning champion, yet to win so far this season as he dives to the inside of turn number 7. Kai giving a full face of curb as Lolanoba barrels his way through. Muscly move from the reigning champion, and that's Lolly from P3 on the grid into the lead halfway around the second lap. Kareem had to defend as well because he's got Ricky 03 very much for company in the battle just behind for 3rd and 4th.
Very nice that from Lolly Noble. We saw actually on that camera angle there was a little piece of carbon fibre still on the circuit. It looked like a bit of front wing. Clearly the marshal's not done a great job of clearing that one up. Hopefully that does not affect someone's Grand Prix. It's just a visual error from our side. But yeah, Lolly Noble, look at that pace, already flying out in front, getting past Formula Kai, who yes, he did have a fantastic getaway, but really struggling now with keeping up the cars behind. But Kareem, yeah, also struggling. Ricky 03 right behind him there. And of course, the straight line mode gets enabled after just one lap now, or maybe it gets enabled straight away. I think it does actually. It's enabled straight away. So, driver getting straight onto it. We're hopeful that the interval will fix itself going in to our next racing lap. At the moment, it won't be, but we can try our best to tell you what the gaps are around the circuit.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if that comes back, but it is now Formula Kai looking at his mirrors because Kareem was pretty racy down into turn number 16. Problems for Tom 97 on the opening lap as well. Must have been caught up in the kerfuffles in the middle sector. So he's now battling with Carl over 12th and 13th respectively. Lolly leading the way, got a bit of a buffer to Kai, but Kareem once again has to keep his wits about him because Ricky 03, the flash of scarlet in his mirrors, right there tucked up underneath the rear of the Audis. They've started to drop Chris in P5 to the tune of what I can assume are a couple of seconds, but we have no idea. It's that little bit of front wing still there, at least on our screen, coming out of turn number 8. Whether that's there for the drivers remains to be seen. Still your reigning champion leading the way, yet to win so far this season, as it is for everybody on the grid, with all of our race winners attending the Gillen Games, we would assume. That being Alex Gillen, Tim Marduk, Meraki in there, Raz and Chai as well. Opportunity for somebody in the championship fight to try and stake the claim and get themselves into the fray. Tom 97 was the driver we were thinking that was the possibility for. P3 in the standings, but had a 1 to that 3, and he got his position at the moment.
Yeah, he certainly has. Obviously, we've got a couple of drivers down in that pack that you would not normally expect. The likes of Tom 97 down in 13th, Hayden Gullis down in 14th, and a few others. Tukey down in 19th as well. In fact, Connie down in 18th place. It's a little bit wide there from that Ferrari as we see a McLaren has gone a bit deep. Hoodie Pete, I think, has gone into the wall on turn 14. And hopefully he has managed to get back on the way. We've also got a Ferrari down there as well. Trying to see who that Ferrari is. Is that
Scotty, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's the little orange dot of the Audi.
Yeah, sorry.
In P20. Stopped there at 14, so it must have been a coming together. Both of them taking themselves off the road. But Ricky starting to lose touch a little bit with the leading trio. Kareem with the fastest lap on the previous tour. I think we saw Skyzy and Vince side by side into the penultimate corner as well. And it was the Williams that came up trumps in that little exchange. As we say that, through goes Vince. What you can only imagine is with a little bit of battery down into turn 7 to pick up P6. And Tom 97 loses another spot down to 14th now as Hayden Gullis powering on through in the McLaren. Make that 15th for Thomas. Dark Viper helps himself as well. So problems for some of the big names. Concept 7 and Perrier battling their way for 10th and 11th as well. Two more cars in the pits, Tukey and of course Hoodie Pete after that trip off the road through 14. But still lolly from Kai from Kareem.
Yeah, Scotty Designs, by the way, it's not gone into the pit, so maybe he hasn't got any front wing damage, or maybe he's just sticking it out waiting for the next safety car to appear. And I'm sure there will be one in the near future. As we see Kareem is right on the rear now of Formula Kai, who is definitely struggling on these soft tyres. They are not going to go that much longer into this Grand Prix here, Tom. I think maybe only a few more laps before we see some drivers consider a new set of tyres, because they, as we mentioned earlier, are not a good race tyre.
Terrible race tyre, but if you could try and take the pain at this stage and extend that stint as much as you possibly can, hoping for a safety car to spare your blushes, gives you so much flexibility as you head into the future stints. Carl battling away with Concept 7 over 11th and 12th. Can't see what the delta is, but clearly quite closely contested in that battle just outside the top 10. Remember, top 15 score points in the Creator Series, and if you are new as well, mandated two-stop strategy. Got to use all three of the dry compounds, soft, medium and hard, throughout the course of the 62-lap race. But Lolanoba still down into turn number 7, ahead of Formula Kai, ahead of Kareem 17. This is the closest Kai's been to Lolly for the last couple of laps, and Kareem just sitting there waiting for an opportunity to present himself. Definitely, you would say, in the ascendancy on the tyres now. The soft gave Lolly and Kai the option or the opportunity to pick up a couple of places off the start, but now Kareem's starting to come back into his own as the pole sitter.
Yeah, that little bit of front wing I've seen has definitely moved, so I think it's definitely on the circuit for the drivers. Hopefully it really doesn't affect any of them, because that would be a huge, horrible thing to get a little bit of a puncture there. But we see our driver getting the way through. Someone Kai still struggling to keep up with Lollinova, but Lollinova, I think, is definitely trying to manage the pace at the moment. Those soft tyres, as we mentioned, will be screaming in pain at this point. He wants to get them a little bit longer into this Grand Prix before he considers putting on a new set of tyres. Kareem 17, maybe jumping back a bit, but I've driven this circuit, Tom, a few times already this season, and those medium tyres do get themselves back into this Grand Prix. We're going to see, we're going to see we'll see Kareem get themselves back in as we have the intervals back up and running, ladies and gentlemen, and this makes our job a lot easier.
Excellent news. We've got the intervals back. Everybody can be happy now. So we can chill and we can actually talk about what is going on. Equidistant first, second and third. Then it's 2 seconds back to Ricky and Chris in P5 with a bit of a choo-choo train behind of Vince, Skyzy, Grid Jokes, Chappers, Perrier, Concept 7 and Carl. Tom 97 still bogged down in P15. Here comes the Alpine of that Govins to the inside. Should be fairly regulation into turn 7. Chris doesn't fight it too hard. Vince a little bit unsettled by the curb, but does complete the overtake and gets himself inside the top 5 at the expense of Chris, who now has Skyzy to deal with as well. If you're questioning where some of the big names are, most of them are at the Gillen Games. That being the big names in the championship, the likes of Alex Gill, of course, Tim McMahon, Raz and Chai, Meraki, all of those guys. So if you need to ask again, just hold that thought, because Kareem spots a gap down to turn 13 to the inside of the Anderson Bridge. Little bit of tie-to-tie contact between himself and Kai. Still nose to tail, yes, as it's Kareem that ducks in front. Has Kai got an answer into 14? The answer's no. And finally, the medium tyres paying back the poor start that Kareem had into second place once again. The pole sitter can now chase after the reigning champion. But yes, we are missing a lot of drivers. Most of them are at the Gillen Games.
Yeah, we expected those medium tyres. Oh, big snap, but they're lining over, just coming out of turn 17. But yeah, a lot of our drivers are at the Guild Games, but the drivers that we do have are certainly giving on a good show there. As we see the two Mercedes here of Tom 97 and Dark Viper GT battling out for just 14th place, and they are a long way off the pack here, Tom. And I wonder, is there something else going on here? Because that is 4 seconds off of Hayden Gullis, then another 4 seconds off of Carl in that top 12 pack.
Looked like he had a lot of damage there, missing half of his front wing. This is the move for the lead. Pole sitter back up into the race lead. Is it? Has Lolly got anything to fight with? Into turn 7 on lap number 7. Keeps his nose in it to the outside for as long as he possibly could. But eventually it is Kareem17 that gets himself back up to where he started. Chris getting it from all angles. This time it's Skies. He completes the move around the outside of turn number 8. Those soft tyres starting to give up a little bit for the lead Haas car. The grid jokes now hot on the heels of Chris with Chappers, Perrier, Concept 7, and then Carl right at the tail of this train, very much in the ballpark, looking to add to the misery of Chris in the last couple of laps as he lost time to Ricky and lost places. One to Dak Govins and the other just lost to Skiesy in the battle for 6th and 7th. But yeah, I think Tom 97 was missing a predominant amount of his front wing there, trying to stick it out for as long as he possibly can. He knows that a safety car will appear at some point. Just needs to try and take this pain early, as we said. These drivers on the soft compound tyre, trying to give himself flexibility with the mediums and the hards in the latter stages of the race. Wobble there for Concept 7, out of turn number 14. Carl just under a couple of tenths off the back. Does he think about the move? Can't slide it to the inside. Does he spook Concept? He's very late on the brakes into 16. Almost clatters into the back of Perrier. But we remain as we were. That is until the Ferrari peels off into the pits. Bumpy ride over the curb. Got to get it stopped. Very easy to speed around a pit lane configuration like this. But that is the first regulation stop of the race.
That is going to be, the one that pulls the trigger. Are we going to see those soft runners start coming in for the pit stop? Just looking at the times here, just for your information at home, Kareem on those soft tyres on those medium tyres did a 32.6. In the wall there, sorry, Chris into the wall, yeah. So Kareem, 32.6 last lap, running over 34.0, and Formula Kai with a 33.4. They are definitely losing a lot of time on those soft tyres, and the medium tyres starting to be the predominant and best tyre to run. As Perrier go onto the hard tyres, interestingly enough there.
Long stint, maybe thinking the safety car that we thought might appear in the early stages, not going to be happening for a little while. But Chris, who was in P7, a couple of laps ago was P5, tumbles right to the rear of this train of cars outside the top 10, as a few of them helping themselves as the red carpet was rolled out. I think he had a little bit of a chat with the barrier, potentially whilst battling away with Grid Jokes, who was the next car arriving on the scene to try and push Chris down a further spot. That leaves Dak Govins and M. Skiesy in a little bit of free real estate. 2.5 seconds to Ricky in front and just under 2.5 seconds to Grid Jokes behind. But you would expect with the pace that the medium tyres have got at the moment, that should be fairly light work for Skiesy to make mincemeat of the Alpine, as Kareem has now broken 1 second to Lolanoba. Kai potentially in the pits. Yes, Formula Kai into the pits. So he blinks as well to get shot of his soft tyres.
Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me. They were all losing hand over fist on that lap. I wouldn't be surprised to be seeing a few more of them come into the pits soon. Hard tyres go on for Formula Cars. We see a lovely attempt for an overtake. Carl versus Concept 7 into the first corner, and Carl has got the inside line and take that position into P8. Has to do a little bit of defending now, running down into what is turn 5, and then obviously the little kink of turn 6. Going to have that straight line mode enabled. Going to use a little bit of his battery there to try and defend that RB, but certainly does it in the best way possible. Carl into that 8th place, as we see Perrier in 17th there on those hard tyres, really trying to put those laps in to see how much they can make up in time.
Get himself an undercut, maybe get himself some trap position. He was mired in that train of cars that was behind Chris before he disembarked from the front of the train and allowed the others to cruise on through, and they can try and see what their raw pace is like. Carl very close to the back of Chappers. Dak Govins still, or no, now he's been overtaken, by M. Skiesy. So that's happened in the battle for 4th and 5th. Skiesy on those medium tyres up ahead of the Alpine will try and put some distance between himself and Vince. Kareem now with a 2-second lead over Lolanoba, 2.5, just over seconds to Ricky 03 back in P3, 5 seconds. Covering your top 3 as we track the progress of Formula Kai on those brand new tyres. And he too, like Perrier, putting on the white-walled hard compound tyre.
Yeah, Lolanoba just crossing the line there now is a second down on what Kareem is doing. A 33-0 and a 34-0. Those soft tyres.
Tom round.
As we see Tom 97 go round and put it into the wall. And we do have a full course safety car here, ladies and gentlemen. And that is what the soft tyre runners were looking for. And that has completely ruined the strategy of Per and, of course, our man in the Red Bull, Formula Kai, down in 14th place. That's going to really mess up the strategy.
And in some way, that's really helped Tom 97. He's caused the safety car in his own doing, not intentional, of course, dropping it coming out of turn 17, losing his front wing, what was left of it anyway, but it does bring the safety car, and that can bring Tom back into the equation. Does mean that Kareem's stint on the medium tyres is going to be cut short significantly. Would have wanted this maybe in 10 or 15 laps time. So he's going to leave himself on the back foot a little bit strategy-wise, because if we are just going 2 more stops to the end, got to use the soft tyres at some point. So that's either going to be an extended stint on those soft tyres, or he does a really long run on the hard compound tyre. And we know, of course, on this game, the hard tyres are very strong. And you mentioned it, didn't you, in the intro? You can't be too punchy with your pit stops before the safety car, because you know it's going to happen. It's happened to Formula Kai today. He's pitted in a lap later. We've had that safety car that throws his strategy in the bin a little bit.
Yeah, as I was saying, I just mentioned, I said in the intro that obviously, you pull that trigger to go early for that pit stop and you guarantee a safety car will come out a lap or two after you've done it. And that's what's happened here to Formula Kai. I'm not be surprised if we see all the drivers inside this top 10 take the opportunity to have a pit stop here, because it is a free pit stop essentially. Under a safety car, everyone has to drop their speed by half to keep with the safety car delta. All the drivers who have not made their pit stop here are going to get onto the hard tyres, and then they're going to be running that stint basically towards the end of the race until they get onto either the softs or the mediums. Because if you've not been here before for previous series, first of all, welcome, and second of all, you need to use all 3 tyre compounds. So a lot of our drivers started on those soft tyres. They will now probably go to the hards or the mediums, but there are some that still need to use the soft tyres.
Kareem potentially putting soft tyres on. Yes, I think he has jumped on a set of the soft compound tyres. So not going to that hard middle stint, trying to use these soft tyres, get them out of the way, because we've seen they're not a particularly good race tyre. Lolly and Ricky will continue on. There is Formula Kai, so he's not lost out too much. Leaked a couple of places to Lolly and to Ricky, but still very much in the game here, ahead of Skyzy and Datkovic, albeit with a couple of laps older tyres as well. But like you said, the majority of the field going for the hard tyres. Kareem, I think, realising that in a bit of a sticky situation, that safety car's come at the wrong time for him, trying to do something different, get these soft tyres out of the way, because he probably backs himself pace-wise to work his way back through the pack if he does find himself needing to do a little bit of overtaking.
Yeah, the good thing is for Kareem now, he's in control of the Grand Prix. He leads the Grand Prix, and he knows for at least 5 laps, those soft tyres are going to be the fastest tyres on the grid. If he's got the pace, which we've already seen he has, he could pull that gap away, give himself a nice little gap, no pressure from behind, and all he has to do is focus on keeping that gap around the same, and then get onto the hard tyres and go to the end of the Grand Prix. He has that ability in him, and I think for Kareem, even though the safety cars come out a bit too early for him, it might work out in the long run.
Wouldn't necessarily say he's the favourite with that one, because Lolinober on the ideal strategy at the moment. He's gone for the mediums after starting on those softs, so Lolly in the box seat. But it's going to be an interesting one. As we come back to our faces, we won't be looking at the game for too much longer. I'd be interested to see if we can pull Carl in at some point to have a little bit of a chinwag with him about the opening salvos of the race. We'll just hold our horses on that one for a little bit. But yeah, I think Kareem's obviously still in an okay spot. Don't get me wrong, he's got the pace definitely. Pole sitter, of course, but I'd be putting Lolly in just a little bit of the driver's seat because he's on that better strategy.
Yeah, he's on the better strategy, onto the soft, the medium, and then onto the hard strategy. I'm very interested to see what Kareem can do, though, on this alternative strategy. And I prefer alternative strategy. You know, it makes it a lot better. And we're going to bring in our good pal, Carl, who is currently sitting in P8 on a brand new set of hard tyres. Carl, how has that early stint gone for you? I think you were the one that caused the first virtual safety car, if I'm not incorrect, but you can correct me.
I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I'm in big trouble, yes, it's annoying. The move was on against Skyzy. I just caught Vince, and then in basically trying to stop any more carnage from happening, Tom hit the back of me. So, yeah, apologies to Vince and especially Tom, because I'm not particularly proud of that first stint. And then it was just frustrating. My mind was stuck in a bit of a rut, couldn't make anything really work, which is a shame. But we got concept. got a perfectly timed move on Chappers, literally just the safety car came out. So, yeah, execution-wise, we got there in the end. It's just keeping your head level, which in that first stint, when you're making the mistakes that I did, which are just basic, stupid ones, it's a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, and I think it was an adventure, wasn't it, in those opening stages around a circuit like this can be very, very easy. If you look at the strategy again, now obviously you're onto the hard tyres. Was it pretty cut and dry for you to start on those soft tyres and try and get them out of the way as soon as possible?
Oh, 100%. No, the softs lose their performance really, really quickly. I don't think the mediums are much better either, truth be told, but we've got an early safety car, go long on the hards, see what can happen. I've got a decent idea of where to make moves on cars ahead of me should the opportunity arise. I picked off 2 places from it now, so yeah. Heads back in the game, we've got a long stint on the hards. Long, long way to go yet.
I do just want to ask, hopefully the safety car's not going to come in now. Kareem started on the mediums. It is. Oh, no. I'll get it quickly. Kareem started on the mediums. He's just got onto a set of softs. What's your thought on that strategical call?
Honestly, not bad. I don't hate it. If another safety car comes out soon, he's completed his set. So it's complicated. I mean, I picked the harder allocation just for this reason. So then I do have that buffer in case there is a later safety car in this race. But I don't hate it. I think it's a good strategy idea. I know Kareem's pretty damn quick around Singapore. So I think he's got a good chance of getting the win today. I really do.
Alex, anything else from you?
No, that's it from me. Thanks, Carl, for that. Enjoy the rest of your race. I'm sure we'll pull you in if there's another safety car. But remember, keep turning the steering wheel for the corners, and you'll make it there in the end.
Thank you, guys. I'll try to make you proud. Bye.
Go well, Carl. There he is. P8 at the moment. Hasn't had the best of the opening stints, but can never discount him. Remember winning on his debut as a reserve back on F125 in Imola. As we see Nagera in the chat. First time seeing Nagera for a little while. Obviously, former Creator Series driver. Welcome in. Hopefully you are doing well. We're on lap 13 of the Singapore Grand Prix. You will notice from the time in town missing a lot of big names. We'll do the token comment again. A lot of them aren't here. I will read out the drivers that are missing just so you know. So remember this, everybody. Somebody write it down. We are missing Safso, Matt212, GB68, Ryan Lady3, Meraki, Razin, Mango, Tim Marduk, Adam Sanderson, Gwatz and Alex Gillen. The majority of those guys are at an Alex Gillen garden party called the Gillen Games, I believe, that's going on. I've seen him wearing a wig. It looks absolutely brilliant. Go and look at his Instagram stories if you want to keep up with what is going on there. But Kareem 17, your pole sitter, still leading the way. Started on the mediums with an early safety car, has left him on the back foot a little bit strategy-wise. He's going for something different, trying to get these soft tyres out of the way, which we know, Alex, are an absolutely terrible race tyre.
Absolutely terrible. I mean, I was looking at the telemetry we have on our screens, and I'm sure you were seeing it as well, Tom. They were losing, half a second to a second in sort of lap 5-6 laps into that Grand Prix. So, yeah, those soft tyres for Kareem are going to be very delicate, but if he can make it work, then this could be a very, very good strategy.
Hayden Gullis watch at the request of Ryan. P12 at the moment for Hayden. I think he pulled a lovely manoeuvre on somebody. Not 100% sure who it was. Safety car going to stay out for one more because the back of the pack not yet caught the train. So we can continue to just have a chatter about it. Yes, long safety car. Something that we're used to at Singapore. Let's be fair. Still need to see something from Tom97. Once again found himself on the wrong side of luck, getting caught up in a couple of collisions. We heard from Carl that it was Tom that whacked the back of Carl after Carl made a bit of contact with Vince and with Skies. He chipped off a decent chunk of Tom's front wing, and that leaves him down in P18. He was the cause of this safety car, though. Dropped it battling with Fabio coming out of turn number 17. Lost his front wing, brought the safety car out immediately, which has brought him back into the fray, albeit with a hell of a lot of overtaking to try and do. As we watch Chris as well, who at one stage was in P5, has got some really strong pace, but just struggled a little bit in the second half, that opening stint. And it was what you were talking about, Alex, that cliff that we used to seeing back in sort of the early 2010s with the Pirelli tyres, when once the performance goes, you are just sparring and losing so much time. And that's kind of what we saw from Chris. His soft tyres look absolutely dead, running on the rims effectively.
Yeah, even in this era of Formula One, where obviously you're doing a lot of lifting and posting to save that battery life, you are still using a lot of that rear tyres, and especially the rears. We're really struggling in this year's Formula One game. But right now we are on lap 14 of 62. Still a long, long way to go in this Grand Prix, and even at half race distance yet. We've seen a lot of action early on. We've seen safety cars, we've seen virtual safety cars, and we've got Kareem 17 leading the Grand Prix on a brand new set of soft tyres from mediums from Loinoba, and then hard on Ricky 03. A lot of drivers on that hard stint. A lot of them have only made their one pit stop. And some of them, so one of the drivers I will say has completed their stint, and Nick Flies down in 21st place. He has done all of his tyre compounds. He's been on the mediums, the softs, and the hards. So technically, he is the first driver, along with Tukey, who has also done that as well.
And technically go to the end of the race. That'll be a long old stint, though, on these hard compound tyres. But we get prepared to go racing again for the start of what will be lap number 15. Pole sitter Kareem 70 leading the Snake on a brand new set of the soft compound tyres. Still got the hard tyres to use. A little bit compromised on the strategy, but if you can make it work, he's done a very darn decent job. As we wait for the green flags to flutter, coming out of 16 and 17, I think Kareem has punched it into the final two corners we ride. We are racing once again for the Singapore Grand Prix. Kareem 70 from Lolanobi, reigning champion, Ricky Kai and Skyzy with top 5. Maybe not for that longer because Skyzy was out of shape through the final couple of corners under the cosh with that Gavins right underneath the rear. We get the Williams, Gridjokes, and then comes Clipbook Carl in the fray as well. Chappers and Chris rounding out your top 10. Tom 97 already with a couple of places made up from 18th to 16th. Lightning start from the former two-time pole sitter of the Singapore Grand Prix. As you see a little bit of a weave there from Skyzy. Not sure if he's trying to communicate a message to Vince just behind, but we watch and wait to see what the Alpine does. Not close enough to even think about a move into turn 7.
These drivers have got to make sure those hard tyres are nicely warmed up before they go full on racing, because they really do struggle to get the heat in them. But it was a lovely move there from Carl to get past Chappers on that opening lap. But Kareem still leading by about 0.4 of a second from Loinoba. Loinoba will know all about that soft tyre drop off. So they'll be expecting a similar thing going in to the next few laps of this Grand Prix. As we go over the Anderson Bridge, as we see Dak Davids trying to go around the outside of turn 13. That was a bold move. Certainly you don't see a lot of drivers trying that very often, but they are currently still in P6. Chasing down M Sky Z, who's currently in 5th in the Williams. As we see Tom 97 making a move there past King Cryptic into P15, but then losing it once again as they go wheel to wheel down the back straight here towards turn 16. Who's going to break latest? And it's going to be Tom 97, who takes it on the inside line and gets that P15. He is on the charge now as he's moving up through the gears, as we are now on to lap 15 of this Grand Prix.
Effectively just a 48-lap race for Tom after the trials and tribulations of that opening stint. Through goes Fabio down the inside of Pay. A nice move into turn 1 to move to position 13. A second and a half up the road is the next car of Hayden Gullis, as this is still Dak Gavins really applying the blowtorch to Skyzy, who must be struggling for tyre temperature, really desperately trying to get some energy into those hard compound tyres. Both of them on the white-walled hard tyres, but Skyzy definitely second best at the moment. That's a look from Concept 7 to the inside of 7 to have a think about it on Chris in the battle for 10th and 11th. This is a big old choo-choo train behind our French connection of N Sky Z. P5 all the way down to P12 of Hayden Gullis. You'd expect Infratic Pay and Tom 97 to be on the trails of this train very shortly as well. Gridjokes under the cosh too, because Carl will be desperate to try and make up for lost time, pick up as many places, pocket pinch a few drivers in this train and get himself to the front of the group. You'd expect Carl will have the best pace of everybody in this little train behind Skyzy, who's now 2 seconds off the back of Formula Kai. And Ricky's struggling to clear onto the coattails of the leading duo as well, but Lolanova will be pretty pleased that he's managed to keep Kareem 70 at check, as those soft tyres will probably already be starting to feel a little bit average.
Yeah, of course, they did do 3 laps behind the safety car. The soft tyres do still gain there. Even though you're going at half speed, they're not gaining as much as they would at a full speed around the circuit. But there you can see Lonnie Nobus, 1:31.0, already 0.3 faster than Kareem on that previous lap. Those soft tyres are losing 0.3 a lap here, Tom. And surely at this point, Loinoba has to look good, as Kareem has disconnected from the Grand Prix, and that's going to really change up this race.
Things weren't problematic enough. That AI could be very, very slow, and Lolly might be a little bit desperate here not to get balked behind the slow Audi in the middle sector. The AI goes defensive, forces Lolly to go the long way round. Got to be careful here. Lolly turns in, a little bit of contact as the Cadillac gets all loosey-goosey on the outside. Still Kareem's AI fighting it out hard. Oh, is there a bit of wheel dragging there? Kareem appears in the picture a little bit detached, as that Skyzy potentially giving a helping hand into the wall, battling away with Vince. Through goes Gridjokes, through goes Carl. Carl as well, as Skies from P5 doubling his position, now down to position number 10, just ahead of Chris, battling away with Concept 7. Hayden Gullis now very much in this equation, too out of shape, big slide for Concept through the Singapore sling. And Lolanoba Kareem back in the session, but he's already dropped him by a second.
Yeah, he certainly has. He's got himself back in the session, but almost a second back, and he's going to be losing time over Fist now with those soft tyres not being the best position, because you guarantee, even though the AI had them for only a couple of corners, and they racked them in those few corners, you can guarantee that for a second. But there you go, Hayden Gullis showing a little bit more of what we expected from his things. Kareem leaves again from the session, probably not being able to jump into his car. It's a common problem in the F1 games, but Kareem still, that's not the fastest lap of the race, but let's imagine it is. As Kareem in second place there, as Formula Kai is chasing him down now. Formula Kai probably will have a very easy overtake, like taking candy from a baby.
Brings back the joy to Kareem, from a little while ago when he was absolutely rapid. But yeah, 2 seconds now lost to Lolly, probably another place. And this was the problem with this strategy. If something bad did go wrong, or if the pack behind didn't split up and didn't lose a load of time battling, would have left himself in a little bit of strife. As through goes Kai. Is this potentially the move for Carl as well on grid jokes? Kareem's AI going to fight this one to the inside. Ricky right there as well. Kai completes the move on traction. You can see the AI unpredictable. Ricky a little bit tentative, unsurprisingly there with the Audi all over the road. Now a little bit of DRS, probably to throw it to the inside of the Singapore sling. That's the classic AI move. The Jinkad in front of you just as you're about to make the overtake stick. Does eventually get past with a code red or a code brown perhaps as he moves up into the top 3. And for the pole sitter, once again, not getting the rub of the green is Kareem 17 when he was looking like one of the favourites to win. And I think this might just continue to spiral if he can't get back in the session.
Yeah, and his AI is already thinking about that pit stop as well. It's little AI brain thinking maybe it's time to get rid of these soft tyres if I keep losing position. So hopefully for Kareem, he can get himself back into this Grand Prix. But Kareem Bot right now is not doing the job that he was hoping to be able to perform, as Carl trying to go around the outside of turn 16 here, a little bit forced off there, but it's a very difficult place to overtake, and you don't see many drivers going around the outside there.
Absolutely, watching Kareem, he can't actually restart the game, so massive issues there for our former champion as he continues to fall into the clutches of this big train of cars. Grid joke at the head of it, although massively under pressure from Clipbook Carl. Dakovic has shown that he's not afraid his elbows out either. Skies now down to P11, maybe with a bit of damage perhaps because he's lost touch with this train after being given maybe a bit of a helping hand on the shoulder barge into the barrier through turn number 8. As we watch on board with the Enstone-based Alpine car, it's Carl in his clutches. He's nowhere near close enough to throw it to the inside of turn 7. Got to be careful of that curb that can really put you off kilter and put you out of shape. As then behind us, Chapper's doing a good job in that Aston Martin. Really strong start for Chaps in this race. Chris and Concept 7 complete your top 10. Tom 97 has made up another place. He's up to 14th, but just stalling a little bit in that secondary train. You can just see in the background there, coming through turn 9, with Skysy, Hayden, Infratic, and then Purrier just behind.
Maybe trying to overtake here on the Anderson Bridge. It's where Felipe Massa got past Bruno Senna a few years ago. No, not a few years ago, quite a few years ago now. As Grid Jokes is trying to close in on Kareem Bot here in P4, but can't seem to make the overtake. Kareem Bot holding on for dear life for his master to come back. But at the moment, not being able to pull that off. The AI really defends to the inside line as Grid Jokes has outbroke himself. Kareem is back in the Grand Prix, but he's going to be finding himself not in P1, not in P2, not even in P3. He might be in P5 by the time he gets back control of his Formula 1 car. As Clipper Carl, is up into P5 there. Kareem down in P6.
Carl's all over the show. Chappers have just praised him, lost a couple of places. One to Chris, one to Concept 7. I think Tom 97 was also trying a move on Infratic into turn number 1. Getting very, very tight indeed. Kareem has rejoined, but I still don't think he's back in the session, back under control. So it's Vince next on the hit list to try and push the pole sitter down a further spot and add further pain to the Audi car. Looking to the inside, I think that's the AI defending lockup for Vince. Kareem's going to take a trip off the road, down to position 9, make that 10 as he goes through Chappers, back up one further spot, as that's Vince having to leave space for Chris, who's thinking about having a chance and having a show around the outside of turn number 8. Concept 7 with the up and under could push Chris back down into position number 8 after he's just picked up P7. Can't quite manage it into the Singapore sling. Kareem to P10 now with Hayden next on the list. Skies, he dropped a couple more places, one to Hayden, one to Emphatic, Tom 97, next to try and push the Williams down a further spot. Out in front though, Lolinoba being gift wrapped this race at this stage. 4.5 seconds the margin for the reigning champion out front.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to stop him at this point. Lap 20 of 62. He's still got a pit stop to make. Let's not forget that. But 4 seconds, and he's lapping in the low 132s. That was his last lap, 132.2. Formula Kai, for example, his last lap was a 132.9, and now 133.1. So about 5/10 a lap quicker than the car behind. Here we see Perrier going to get past XIII for what is 14th place. I believe Kareem, he must be back in his car by now.
Yes.
And he's back under racing, but he's in a very different position than he was about 5 laps ago. He's gone from P2, P1 down to P10, and on a set of soft tyres that the AI has ragged around for the last few laps, he's in big trouble.
Not looking good is the best analysis. Carl to the inside of Grid Jokes, picks the pocket of the Racing Bull, and that is P4 for Clipbook Carl. He's only 9 seconds off the lead. Don't rule him out of this one, especially if there is a safety car between now and the time we get to lap 62. For Kareem, he's got to stay headstrong. Not in a great position at the moment. Tyres to the probably square with how the AI drives them, and the AI look after their tyres, especially in online races. Down in P10 at the moment, just got to try and keep himself in the game, try and take this deep, to use a footballing or a cricketing term. Take this as long as he possibly can to keep himself an opportunity, as that's concept into the back of Chris. Bit of a love tap into the turn 14 hairpin. So blast down the stretch. Is this going to be a move for the Racing Bull? Looking desperate to try and put one over on the Haas. Look to the inside. Chris leaves the door open, but able to hang it around for the time being, but still under the pump, with Chappers also looking to make progress.
And then for Carl down in P4, you're going to want to see Ricky and Formula Kai have a little bit of fisticuffs here for second and third place. That will help you catch up. Just looking at Ricky's times, 32.9 for his last lap, 32.8 for Carl. So he's catching about by a 10th a lap. So if Carl can keep this up and get a little bit faster, then we will see a lovely battle for P3, 2 and 4 in a few laps time. Grid Joke's still hanging on the back of Carl though, so don't count him out yet, as we see Kareem closing in on Chappers for what will be P9 in this Grand Prix. He's just there within a 10th of a second. Kareem, just want to point out, he set a 32.8 on his last lap on those soft tyres. That is on the same pace as Lolinoba up in P1.
Lolly chilling, Kareem driving maybe with a little bit of red mist with a point to prove as well, but he's got Hayden Gullis to deal with, and that is never an easy challenge in that battle for 10th and 11th as Kareem trying to find a way past Chappers. Well, I can only assume they were briefly side by side because the delta went down to just 0.5 of a second. Emphatic in P12, Tom 97 just caught this group as well. 2 drivers that have been in the wars throughout this race, but still in an opportunity and with an opportunity to do something, not even at half distance yet. Because we've got a yellow flag. Puryear's dropped it over the Anderson Bridge. I think he's in the wall. Yes, he flick spins it round. That is going to be scary if somebody's coming through and they find the Ferrari parked in the middle of the road. Through goes Nick Flies, through goes Dark Viper. Fimex almost having a chat with the gearbox of the Ferrari as well. But looping it round over the bridge goes Perrier as he loses a handful of places, and he's going to give up another one as Fimex to the outside of 14. Damage there for Perrier as well, so definitely been in the wall and in the wars. I think those Hoodie Pete also in the wall, just in the background.
Yeah, it looks like front right wing has been completely torn off there. That's a horrible place to have next to the Anderson Bridge. Is basically a blind corner. Anyone coming around the corner is not going to see a bright red Ferrari there, and even if they do, there's not a lot they can do to stop it. Carl, 2.7 seconds off that top 2 in Formula Kai and Ricky 03. Sorry, third and second, I should say. And Kareem still doing good laps, 33.6 on the last lap, but I think
down the inside of Chappers. Throws it to the inside of Chappers, desperate to try and use what's left of his soft compound tyres. You can see Chris and Concept 7 going into combat just in front. That was a really punchy move. Chucked down inside of Chappers. And the Aston Martin doing a good job to cling onto it around the outside. Now into turn 10 of the sling. Very tight pinch point. It's going to be a brave man to try it around the outside of 11. Surely he doesn't do that. Well, I must be an idiot because that was picture book perfect. And despite everything that's gone on, Kareem's still proving that he's got a point to prove as Hayden throws it to the inside. Chappers getting it from absolutely all angles. keeps the McLaren at bay for the time being. What an overtake that was from Kareem, as now Tom 97 senses an opportunity to make up some more places at the expense of the Williams of Fabio, still side by side through the kink of turn 15. I think the Mercedes with the inside into 16 should have the high road and the ascendancy into the braking zone, and does, as Hayden is that to the inside just in front of Chappers. Dat guy Vince battling away with Chris, all kicking off in the second half of lap 24, everybody, as that's to the inside. Tom completes the move on Hayden, or on Fabio I should say, as he tries the cutback through the final corner. Kareem's still not done. That's Chris and Concept battling again into turn 1. Audi with the opportunity to pick up the places, and I think it's Chris around the outside just keeping hold of that staunch defence in 7th place.
Stunning move that is from Kareem, but maybe he's going to make 2 more stunning moves in the next couple of corners. We're going down the main straight here towards the kink of turn 6. He's already made 1 overtake. Can he make another 2? He's going to dive down the inside of the Haas car, who's going to have the outside line, but it turns to the inside line. Kareem's going to have to cut back across him because he does not want to end up in that wall, but he's still wheel to wheel with him, and Kareem is going to make another brilliant move up into P8 there on those soft tyres that will be struggling at this point, but he's up into P8 and he's chasing down the top 7 here, and don't count out Kareem for a podium finish here this afternoon.
It's such a disadvantage with everything that's gone on, but Chris getting a taste of the Moroccan muscle there as Kareem fights his way through, back up into 8th place now. It's going to be Concept 7 next on the list. That is, if he hasn't burnt up what was left of his tyres, forcing his way past Chappers and past Chris. Is this the move for position number 2? Ricky the long way round, all crossed up, all locked up into the braking zone of 16. Just about slams on the anchors as he tried it around the outside of Formula Kai, sensing the danger perhaps because Carl is considerably faster than the pair of them. Kai struggling at the moment, nearly 6 seconds off the back of Lolanoba. Ricky not close enough into turn 1. Carl on the previous tour was, what was that? He was about 6/10 of a second faster than Kai and Ricky, so he's taking chunks of time out of this duo, and Ricky probably saying, come on mate, get on with it here. We're losing time hand over fist to Lolly, and we're going to have a Haas challenging us in not too long.
Yeah, that Haas is flying right now. 32.8, 33.4 and 33.444 as Formula Kai and Ricky basically setting the exact same lap times. But Carl is certainly faster. But down the inside goes Ricky 03. He's decided he's put up with Formula Kai. He's lapping for much too long, and he jumps into P2. Very much a forceful move there from the Ferrari, but a move he needed to make there.
Definitely. 5.5 seconds, the gap between himself and his fellow Italian countryman. It's an Italian 1-2, everybody. Lolanoba and Ricky 03. Former teammates, of course. They were teammates last season when Lolanoba picked up that first Creator Series crown. Carl now just 1.3 seconds off the back of Kai. Kareem has taken a little bit of time out of Concept 7, but he's still got to deal with the Haas of Chris, Chappers, Hayden Gullis, Tom 97 and Infratic, all still in this train that goes from Vince in P6 down to 13th placed Fabio. With them Skies, he's not too far back down the road either. You could just see him in the background there through 14, 1.4 seconds off the back of his teammate. Ricky's already dropped Kai as well. Look at that. That gap, Hovercut for Concept 7 into 16 as Tukey in the battle for 17th and 18th. Makes mincemeat of Fimex. And that was a huge wobble there for Chappers as Kareem is going to bail on these soft compound tyres. Decide he's had enough of them. Should be hard tyres to try and take him to the end of the race unless we see a safety car.
Yeah, the safety car is not what Kareem wants now. He wants to get these hard tyres and he wants to get them up to speed. He needs to pump in lap after lap after lap now for even a chance of finishing on that podium in this afternoon. If there's one man that can do it, it is Kareem this afternoon. But he's gone down to 16th place. But we'll keep an eye on his lap times, and I think, ladies and gentlemen, we will see him at the end of this Grand Prix, maybe challenging for those podium places, but he's got a lot of work to do, as he may come out even behind Hoodie Pete and Peya down in 19th and 20th place. But I think he's just got in front of them there. So he's got the pace. Now, can he prove it on what is basically completely fresh air for the next 10 or so laps?
Chappers losing out to Hayden. Really punchy move there. Was the smallest the gaps that Hayden spotted down the straight. This is just behind Fabio around the outside, trying to complete this overtake as he pulls the pocket pincher on Tom 97. Gets lively with the loud pedal. Does it invite the dive bomb into the hairpin? Fabio sees it coming, goes defensive. Will that be his downfall as Tom gets the cutback, Gets the traction, gets the exit. Will have to go the long way round though, into turn number 14. Will he be given the time of day as Fabio goes defensive again? Still going for that switchback move. Fabio all over the road, but he's just keeping the Mercedes at arm's length for the time being. Great scrap with two Creator Series veterans to the outside of 16. This will have to be now for Tom. Can't find a way through. Robust defense from Fabio, keeping hold of that 12, or keeping hold of that 11th place, I should say, clutching it greatly to his grasp.
And Carl is flying on his laps now. He is right on the back of Formula Kai. 32.6 on his last lap. Formula Kai 33.2 and a 33.8 for Ricky 03. Carl, in terms of this top two battle between Ricky 03 and Formula Kai, he is the fastest one out of those two right now. So he really needs to make it pay at the moment. And maybe he's even got the pace to go catch Lolly Noba in front, because Lolly Noba 33.4 his last lap.
Need to remember the tyre difference as well. Lolly on mediums, which will be second hand at this stage. Carl on the hard tyres. He's about 0.8 of a second quicker than Lolanova, about a second quicker than this pair that he's just caught out. He's taken chunks of time. Formula Kai taking chunks out of his rear tyres as he has a big slide coming out of the sling and puts him immediately under the pump, with Carl looking this way and that, ducking and weaving behind the Red Bull to get himself inside the top three for what would be the first time this evening. Not close enough, Kai, I think, with a little bit of ERS, but he misses his braking zone by an absolute mile and hands it over, rolls out the red carpet. Carl says thank you very much, please and thank yous, and he's up into third position. Carl may be driving, or Kai I should say, may be driving in his mirrors a little bit too much there, because he was about, well, it looked like he was heading into Narnia before he applied the brakes.
Yeah, you could just see that going into that braking zone, couldn't you? You just couldn't see him slowing it down for that corner. Luckily, he made the wall slow down for him. And here comes Carl again into turn one. Is he going to make it pay for two moves? And they go sideways as they're really sliding it through the first corner. Very defensive from Ricky 03 as Carl went for that overtake and didn't pull it off there. Used a lot of battery down that back straight. So he's got to be a little bit careful now from Formula Kai in behind. But can Carl take that second place that he's been pushing for the last few laps? He's going to go to the inside now. He's going to have to force to the outside. A little bit of wheel banging once again as Ricky 03 is really pushing the boundaries here for Carl to be able to defend. But down the inside, Carl with maybe a little bit of a kick-out move there.
Carl may be a bit naive, thinking he was going to get the space around the outside of turn number 7. Ricky robust in his defence of second place. They're still 7.5 seconds now away from Lolanova. Contact once, twice, thrice, probably 4 times between that pair. The biggest one going through turns 1 and 2, where it was drift simulator for the pair of them. Kai unable to capitalise just behind. Grid Jokes a watching spectator, just a second and a half back down the road on his set of medium tyres that have done 18 laps, put them on when the safety car came out. Kareem 17 in 15th at the moment is considerably quicker. He's about 2 seconds a lap quicker than this group of cars that we're watching at the moment, trying to make that undercut work after the trials and tribulations that have befallen him so far in this race after starting from pole. B15 is the next car he needs to chase. It's Dart Viper 5 seconds up the road. But we wait for round 2, and the red corner is Ricky, and the white corner is Carl. 3.5 tenths, 3 tenths off the back. Gets a really good run out of the final corner. Do we try it again? Yes, we are going to see deja vu. No, we don't, because Carl, I think wisely after remembering what happened at the start of lap 28, backs out of that one.
Yeah, he's going to need to find a little bit of more overtake to get past Ricky 03 here. Ricky's going to really defend it best he can. He does not want to get the Italians on his bad side, does Carl. And that was the bit of advice you gave him, Tom, before we got started. Don't get any fans on the wrong side of you. But now, down the inside, here comes Carl, and there might not be anything Ricky can do about it. He's going to force him the long way around, and it's going to turn the inside into the outside line. And will Ricky give him any room on that outside? I think he's going to have to, because Carl is still there, but doesn't make it stick once again. Really struggling to get this overtake done. Once again, as we heard from the great Murray Walker many years ago, catching is one thing, overtaking is another.
Finally, it's quite hard to force your way past that Scarlet Ferrari just up the road as he gets out of shape, entering the Anderson Bridge. King Cryptic's back in the session. Scotty moves up into P20. Unsure whether that's Scotty or Jakey driving at the moment. They said they were going to stop after the first, or switch after the first stop. Been in the pits twice so far. One of them was a fairly early trip through pit road. So we wait for round number 3. Ricky, the victor of the first 2, as he's able to keep Carl in his back pocket. Does he try something different, Kai? He's got to run up into the 16-17 chicane. Doesn't slide the Haas alongside this time. Almost handed third place back over to Kai there on a couple of occasions, Carl, as he was desperately trying to force his way past Ricky to allow him to set off after Lolly, but Ricky wide for the second time in as many laps through the final corner. This time, Carl again favours what he tried on the previous lap of bailing out of it into turn 1, but Ricky again is wide through the second part of the opening sequence of corners, puts himself under the pump once more. It's going to have to be turn 7. Tried the outside, didn't work. Tried the inside, didn't work. So what method, what modus operandi does Carl have on this particular occasion? Is it third time a charm? Is it the inside? No, pails out of it again. I think maybe just lost a little bit of confidence with who he's racing.
Yeah, Ricky 03 is a little bit of a hard taskmaster, and he's certainly not going to make it easy for Carl to get past, especially for what is going to be P2 on the racetrack. Just keep you updated on Kareem's pace, 1:31.8, which is 3 seconds faster than anyone else on the track at the moment, down in 15th place. He is certainly the fastest male on track so far, so if he can keep that pace up to the end of this Grand Prix, we will see him on the podium.
35 seconds off the race lead, and this scrap is actually really helping if he wants to try and salvage a second position. This hard racing between Ricky, between Carl and between Kai helping him out, as that's another spot at the expense of Dark Viper. Didn't even need the braking zone into turn 10 of the Singapore Sling. That is 14th now for our pole sitter, as Carl with another little look to the inside into turn number 16. This will be where the frustration starts to boil in, especially as there's been contact on numerous occasions between this pair. Battle for second, third and fourth. Let's not forget Lorenoba able to absolutely chill out in front. 8 seconds almost clear of this battling trio. Gridgert's, I think, starting to struggle on his set of medium tyres, leaked to second and a half in the past 2 laps, as Nick Flies is the next to fall foul of Cream 17's rapid pace on those hard tyres, up to 13th, and with a lot of space now to try and work into. 13 seconds until he catches the next closest car. And Carl, meanwhile, not very close to the back of Ricky coming out of turn 5. In fact, he has to look in his mirrors because Formula Kai was right there waiting. But he keeps it on the button and keeps the pressure on the Ferrari, who so far not showing signs of wilting anytime soon.
Yeah, Carl's got a little bit stuck here behind Ricky 03. He was hoping he'd just blast past him and get him into P2 and maybe start catching Lorenoba, who put now 20 laps onto those medium tyres. Now, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we've still got pit stops to come. All of the top 12 here have got to do another pit stop. They've all got to either go onto the mediums or onto the hard tyre. Everyone has done their soft tyre stint inside that top 12, I should mention. So we're going to see Lorenoba go onto those hard tyres. We're going to see Carl go onto the mediums. So Carl is going to be faster coming into the next stint, and maybe he's going to be fast enough here because he's right behind the back of the Ferrari. And can he pull down the inside? And you bet he can. And finally, on round number 3, he gets the move done, and he's overtaken Ricky 03 into P2, and now he can begin his charge for P1, but he's got a long way to go, and now he's got to focus on defence rather than attack.
Yeah, can't pop the cork just yet because Ricky's very much still waiting to try and steal that place back. With Kai, a very willing spectator in P4. Thought for a moment Ricky was about to slam into Carl going through turn number 3. Thankfully, avoiding contact for what would have been the 10th or 11th time between this pair. Carl a little bit wild there coming out of turn 5. Gap less than 4/10 of a second. Will he have this one covered, or will the defensive shape have to be thrown? Ricky gaining all the time. Not gaining enough, though, to trouble Carl and make any real impression into turn 7. Will that be that? Will Carl have anything left in his battery pack and in the tyres to try and put a little bit of comfortable distance now between himself and the Ferrari in the middle sector? So far, looking like Ricky absolutely harrying and hustling that Ferrari to keep hands on the Haas, as that is Skyzy and Chappers, I think, debating 11th and 12th, potentially both of them off the road. They're 4 seconds off the back of Tom 97, who picked up a 3-second penalty not too long ago. As Scotty Designs, we absolutely love it, with a blistering fastest lap of 2 minutes 20.164. And I'll tell you this, nobody else could do that if they tried, and it must be that weight reduction upgrade on the front nose, quite clearly.
Yeah, I mean, when you lose half your front wing, and without keeping the main bit on the front wing alive, it really does add to your pace. I'm happy Scotty Design's got that fastest lap there. Really deserves it on track. Keep an eye on the rest of your timings charts here. Lorenoba now into the 134s. Those medium tyres are hitting the end. As Tom 97, what a late break that was, locking up that front tyre and making himself into the top 10. He does have a 3-second time penalty coming his way at the end of the Grand Prix for exceeding track limits. Keeping an eye as well on Karim, who has had a 13-second gap removed down to 7 seconds. Still pumping in the 132s here, and everyone in front of him in the 134s or even the 135s. So he will be with them in the next few laps. Karim really trying to push for at least a podium finish here this afternoon. We are on lap 33 as Ricky 03 goes very wide there on what is turn 7 of this Singapore Grand Prix. 33 laps into this Grand Prix, and Tom, right now, it looks like Lonnie Nova's got it well under control.
Absolutely been gift wrapped this race. All he's got to do is open it, which is easier said than done, especially if we get a safety car between now and lap 62. But at the moment, doing what he likes out in P1, and definitely likes what he's doing as well with that 7-second margin that has been eroded ever so slightly just as his medium tyres start to fall away a little bit. But this is a grand old scrap in the second half of the top 10. Hayden Gullis slightly got about his business. Late braking move again from Tom 97. Spots the gap and slides it down the inside of Fabio. A little bit of contact there between the Mercedes and the Williams. Doesn't matter though, because that is a punchy move pulled by Tom 97. His attempts to try and recover for lost time. And up into P8 now for Tom 97. Still got a couple of moves to try and make in the next few laps. Hayden Gullis very quietly, like I said, going about his business in P6 at the moment. Pulled a move on Datko Vince a couple of laps ago, doing a very, very good job out there, who's now got Vince having to deal with the wrath of Tom 97, trying to pull himself back through the field. Ricky's still just about clinging onto the coattails of Carl, who's taking chunks of time out of Lolly. Those medium tyres definitely starting to fall away as Chappers into the pits. Chris through on Dark Viper. That second half's been through the pits a few laps ago, 6 laps on a set of the hard compound tyres at the moment. Cream up to P12 with that one. Kai once again not close enough to get past Ricky. He's been a little bit ragged, I think it's fair to say, since Carl got through.
Yeah, I think his hard tyres will also be struggling at this point. Just want to point out, the reason why Lonnie Nova is losing time over fifth, 33.8 to 33.4, 4 tenths faster on our previous lap. Carl is definitely putting the pace on, putting the burners on to try and force Lonnie Nova into a pit stop to get onto those hard tyres for the end of this Grand Prix. I mean, for Carl in this situation, do you want Lonnie Nova to get into that pit stop? Do you want to be controlling the race, hope for a safety car, and then you're leading the Grand Prix, you have full control of this Grand Prix. But for Lonnie Nova, you've been leading this race for so long. Are you getting maybe complacent at this point?
I don't think Lolly's the kind of guy that would get complacent, especially when he's yet to win so far this season. I think he's just going to be thinking about the job at hand as Karim disconnects once again. And once more, our pole sitter finding that not getting the rub of the grids. We've got a yellow flag. There's a McLaren in the wall. That is Hoodie Pete going through turn 8, I believe. He was battling away with Puryear. Half of his front wing now detached from the car and losing a whole heap of time also. Karim back in the session. Hopefully he can take over ASAP to continue pumping in those lap times by some distance. He is the fastest man on circuit right now, between 1.5 seconds and 2 seconds quicker than anybody else on circuit at the moment. But it's still Lolly 7 seconds clear of Carl, as we've got 28 laps of the Singapore Grand Prix to go. And just to answer your question as well about the ebb and flow, I'll hold that because I think Ricky's trying a move on Carl for second place. They were side by side very briefly. Yes, there they are side by side. Yellow flag out once again. Where this two are, no, it's on the opposite end of the track through 14. Ricky really plying the blowtorch to Carl in front. Kai spotting an opportunity maybe to pick up 1, potentially 2 places. Ricky from attack to defence very quickly. We know that Kai's an aggressive manoeuvre. When he sees an opportunity, he will send it. Tried it into the sling, but Ricky once again staunch in his defence, this time with P3, not letting that Red Bull have even a whiff of an opportunity to pick up that place, slamming the door in his face.
And Hoodie Pete picking up a 10-second time penalty there for speeding in the pit lane. A day that's not been brilliant for Hoodie Pete. Once again, Formula Kai just misjudging his braking zone. We've seen him do that twice now in this Grand Prix, and I wonder if is it those hard tyres, or is he just paying too much attention to the car in front rather than his own brake pedal there? As we see another yellow flag. Is that Puryear again spinning, or is that that's Scotty Designs, by the way, who I believe has spun and maybe caught one of the Cadillacs as well of King Cryptic down in 20th place. But he's back on the way. No safety car on the horizon here, and so we're back with Tom 97, who's trying his best to close in on that guy Vint, and trying quite successfully, I must say. He's only about 2 tenths off. This is the Tom 97 we expected to see in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, through circumstance, Tom just hasn't necessarily had the opportunity to show what his outright pace is. After qualifying poorly, left himself in the thick of it, down in 11th on the grid. Then got caught up in the opening lap kerfuffles that went on through turn number 8, left himself on the back foot from the word go effectively, but he's not close enough to make the move into turn 7. Hayden Gullis just up the road within 1 second of that guy Vince. And they're only 2 seconds off the back of Grid Jokes, who is struggling on his medium tyres. 26 laps he's done on the yellow walled mediums, currently lapping about 0.6 a lap slower than this group of cars at the moment. As here comes Tom 97. Does he want it? He dangles the nose to the inside of turn 10. Vince is wise to it, gives him the time of day. Now the outside of 11 to complete the manoeuvre. Textbook stuff from Tom 97. That's another one checked off the list as he pulls through to position 7 now, with Hayden next up in his sights. Got to do some defending though, you'd imagine, with Vince tucking into the slipstream, Fabio doing the same. Don't think he's going to make that into the braking zone of turn 40. As we jump to Cream 70, who I think is back in the session, back putting in some competitive lap times. Down in 11th, should be going to the end barring a safety car, just trying to make up for that lost time earlier, as Carl, still with Ricky 03 to deal, joined at the hip this pair for the last 15 laps almost.
Yeah, I think Carl's tyres are starting to hit their cliff as well, or at least the grading period, because his lap times have significantly dropped off for the last few laps. He's now only matching Lolly Noba, and I think Lolly Noba, sensing the danger, maybe put himself in a position to get out of the grading phase and start putting in a few more laps. A few more competitive laps, I must say. There comes Recchio 3. He's going to go to the inside of Carl, but can't make it stick. These guys are on the same set of hard tyres, very much so. 27 laps on both their tyres. Formula Kai on 29 laps old tyres. Maybe that's why he's struggling a little bit more. But as you can see, a lot of our drivers, a little bit lock up there from Recchio 3, goes a bit wide. With all our drivers making their pit stop, almost all of them are getting ready to make their final pit stop in this Grand Prix. We are at lap 37. We are past half race distance, and we are getting closer to the end of this Grand Prix. It's been a long one, but it's certainly been an intriguing one.
Absolutely. Kareem 70, the lead runner that can go to the end, doesn't have to stop. And the gap at the moment between himself and Lolly, 25 seconds. He's been working very hard into that gap that he dropped into when he made that stop. Was on an unideal strategy after an early safety car cut short his medium tyre stint, then had a couple of disconnections which has lost him probably 10 seconds total, just behind this pair of Carl and Ricky's Formula Kai, who's made a couple of mistakes, one notable one 5 or so laps ago into turn 14. It just dropped him off the back of that pair ever so slightly. Is that Hayden Gullis? I don't think that's Hayden Gullis. It was one McLaren. I think it's Hoodie Pete, who is a lap down, a couple of laps down. In fact, and there is Hayden Gullis doing, once again, not the first time we've said it this season, an excellent job. P5 at the moment, albeit with Tom 97 catching him by a couple of tenths a lap. Another yellow flagged out. That's for Dark Viper GT, who's taken a trip through the runoff area down into 14, maybe doing what Formula Kai's done a couple of times and just completely missing his braking point and getting it ever so slightly wrong, or quite a lot wrong in that regard.
Yeah, it must be quite dusty down there, because you've seen a few drivers make that mistake. It is a tricky corner, but not tricky enough to see so many lockups. So I wonder if there's something causing those lockups down in that corner. Must say Carl's times have improved in the last few laps, 33.8 compared to Lolly Noba's 34.2. So definitely Lolly Noba maybe at the limit of where those medium tyres can bring him. He's done 28 laps on those medium tyres, so it is very impressive from Lolly Noba to keep those tyres at a similar pace. A pit stop lost time, I believe, is it around 20 seconds or so, Tom?
It's a fairly slow pit stop. It's going to be closer to 25. So
yeah,
Cream could find himself in a position at 24 seconds. I mean,
talk about
if you thought this man was cursed, I mean, there's your example. We're just having a chat. Or he might find himself in the lead of the race, perhaps, when he comes out of the pits. No, he won't, because he's going to hand over another load of seconds with his third disconnection of the race, or it's probably his 10th disconnection, because the first time around took him about 8 attempts to try and get himself back into the session. So Kareem's still with a battling drive to try and salvage something on an opportunity that had presented itself with a lot of the big guns away. Pole sitter, please. I thought the AI was about to pull it into the pits there. That would have been enough to throw his Simrig out of the window, but he is back in. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he can continue onwards as we rejoin this scrap. Battle Royale commencing, resuming between Carl and Ricky. This time the Ferrari to the inside. I think he's got a bit more of an overspeed, bit of a run into turn 7, and can dispossess Carl just for the time being of position number 2. Like you said, I think Carl just starting to struggle on his hard compound tyres. Kai's caught himself back up to this little pair as Tom 97 for the first time into the top 5 as well dispossessing Hayden Gullis of that P5. Can he try and put some distance between himself and that group? Can Tom maybe salvage a top 5 out of this one?
Well, let us hope so, because I think he has certainly put in a great performance in this second half of the race. Of course, he did get himself a little bit of damage early on, but he's looking pretty good overall down in, and now in P5. But that 3-second time penalty, could it come back to bite him, especially if we get a late safety car?
100%. He's going to find himself with that little bit of a handicap, that 3-second time penalty that will leave him looking over his shoulder when we get to the latter stages of this Grand Prix. I think Kareem is back in the session once again. The good thing is, and I say good, that's a little bit of a loose term considering how everything's gone. Because of the tyre offset he's got, his lap times when the AI is driving aren't terrible. They're just nowhere near as fast as he could be going, because he's still got an opportunity to get himself into the lead of the Grand Prix by the time that the leaders come in. 21 laps remaining, 22 laps remaining in fact, as the yellow flag is out again. Is that a Ferrari round? Is that Perrier for the 3rd or 4th time potentially having a bit of a whoopsie? Might be Scotty, and that is a safety car.
And that is going to be, well, interesting for this Grand Prix, but maybe not what Kareem wants to see in this one. Scotty Designs, by the way, obviously the teammate of Kareem, down in 22nd place, causing another safety car, still missing that front wing, not really giving him the opportunity he needs at this point. But for Kareem, what does Kareem do in this situation? And what do the leaders do in this situation? Of course, they've all got to go onto their next set of tyres. We're going to hang out medium tyres for Lolly Nova, Ricky 03. We're going to get medium tyres for Ricky 03 and Carl and Formula Kai, but hard tyres for Lolly Nova up in P1. Those hard tyres have done a good stint, 30 laps or so, but the mediums have also proven they can do 30 laps as well. For Kareem, he is currently, let's see where he is, 29 seconds off the lead of the Grand Prix.
I think he's got a box. Might as well, but I don't think this safety car is actually the worst thing in the world for him, because it probably gives him an opportunity to fight for something more than what would have happened if he was going to the end of the race. Yes, he might have ended up in the lead, but he would have been so much slower, you would expect it, with the guys coming out on their brand new tyres. So this gives him an opportunity to move forward rather than thinking about going on the defensive and going backwards, providing that he can keep his nose clean when the safety car comes in. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because we heard Carl say earlier, and I hope we do speak to Carl again under the safety car, that the medium tyres weren't great, but Lolly has done a mammoth stint there, 30 laps, and the pace drop-off not really there. He was pretty consistent out front. Yes, he was most likely cruising, but because he had such a big buffer that he built up in the first 4 or 5 laps once the safety car came in, as Perrier, with a penalty for ignoring yellow flags. Hasn't told us the number of seconds, but you would expect that that'll be a 10-second penalty. And yes, Kareem does seek refuge into the pit lane. Will that be hard tyres or will that be mediums? Not sure what allocation he's gone for. He's already used both of them, so it will be dependent on whether he went for the balance, which would give him another set of mediums, or the harder allocation, which would give him a second set of hards.
I think for Kareem, it's not really that much of a loss. He's made up that time. He's got himself into that P9 position. Interestingly there, he's put on a set of medium tyres, which say they have 10 laps
that could just be the game having a bit of a funny.
We'll keep an eye
Unless
on
he
our
has put on his used set of
telemetry.
mediums. That would be...
no, it says one lap on our telemetry.
Oh, he's put on his used set of mediums.
He has put on his used set of mediums.
Because he started on mediums, did 10 laps on them. So whether that was intentional or not, I'm going to go and do some research to see. I can see that he's shouting, so...
Don't think he's very happy. Honestly, it could have gone better for him in this race, Tom.
Your heart goes out to him, because he's had absolutely no luck this season. And this was the race, realistically, that he was probably going to win, because he definitely had the pace. But sometimes when your luck's not in, it just continues to pummel you lap after lap after lap. But he's got an opportunity to try and work his way back through at a significant disadvantage once again. 16% those medium tyres. So it's not the end of the world. Not like they're at 25, 30%, but that is quite the significant disadvantage that he'll find himself. So race win, you would think, is out of the question unless we get another safety car, unless all of the leaders go bowling in the first couple of braking zones. But can he work his way back through to a top 5? You'd think he'd have Hayden downwards covered on pace. It's just whether he can keep check with Tom 97, who's got that 3-second penalty. But I'm delighted to say for the second time, we're going to speak to Clipbook Carl, because it looked like that was quite the busy middle stint for you, sir.
It was. Yeah, busy work, as I've nearly flattered into Ricky. Yeah, busy work in the middle stint. Mercifully, much calmer than it was in the first stint. Interesting games with the overtake mode, I think, is the only thing. If you have overtake mode, you somehow have a slightly higher top speed, which I find very interesting, as I'm going to let Scotty Designs buy the way through. There we go. Hopefully he's all fine. Yeah, much better middle stint. Ricky's got good pace, honestly. I mean, I wish we kind of coordinated the swapping a bit better. We could have put more pressure on Lolly, but hey, it's what it is. I think we did a decent job, honestly. He's got really good pace. Now we have the mediums, but we've got to make it count now. Hard tyres are practically invincible around here, so if you don't get the overtakes done soon, well, it's difficult to know how you're going to win.
Yeah, I was going to say, what position, where would you rather be? Would you rather have the track position in the hard tyres, or would you rather be chasing in these early couple of laps on the mediums, try and get the job done, and then almost form a bit of a rear guard action?
I'd probably prefer the hards, truth be told, purely because, I mean, I was following grid jokes. The mediums kind of lost their edge compared to the hards 7-8 laps in, maybe, and then I could quite easily just close up to the back of him. So I don't think the mediums hold their pace that well, truth be told. So, like I say, that's why it's going to be important to get the moves done early, particularly for Ricky, myself, anyone that's on mediums behind. Tom's in P5, fair play, mate. Yeah, it's going to be an aggressive stint to the end. So brace yourselves.
Alex.
Well, we are certainly braced, Carl. But yeah, for you, we're just watching this Grand Prix. There's been a lot of twists and turns in it, indeed. Someone I'm sure you've seen, we mentioned before, Kareem. Not only has he disconnected about 1,000 times in this Grand Prix, but he's also just had to pit again after he got given his 10-lap-old medium tyres instead of his fresh medium tyres. So do you expect him to be up behind you by the end of this Grand Prix? He certainly has the pace for it.
He does. I hope so. I mean, how unlucky can you get in this race, honestly? How unlucky can you get? Because he was comfortably, or I say comfortably, he was decently in the lead, and I think his strategy would have put him in a really good position as well. Difficult to say, of course. Safety car came out later than his softs probably could have held on to, but even so, I think, you know, his pace deserves a lot more than what he's currently got. I hope he can fight through.
And Carl, just for you, obviously, if we do get another safety car later on, have we got another tyre set in the bag, or would you consider just staying out, getting track position?
Depending on what lap it comes, it depends on what lap, truth be told. I mean, if it's soon from now, I'm just gonna stay out and brave it. But if it's, you know, you're talking with 10 laps to go to the end of the race, I think I would prefer to switch tyres, because I mean the offset with new tyres compared to old tyres is just an amount of immenseness that graphs can't scale. So yeah, play it by ear, see how we go. But it's been a fun race. I've finally got myself out of the rut of the first stint, which has been nice. It's been, with no practice, a decent going. So I'll see if I can do some magic at the end.
Well, let's hope you can do that, Carl. Anything else to add, Tom?
No, let's go. Let's see what you got. Hopefully it's going to be a fun one with 20 or so laps to go, and we'll speak to you at the end, I'm sure, Carl.
Thank you, mate. In a bit, guys.
Go well, do the commentary corner proud. We just need to turn our attention at the moment to King Cryptics in P20, who has picked up 3 drive-through penalties for falling too far back. Now, you'll notice that he hasn't actually caught anybody yet. So it's quite difficult to fall too far back when you haven't got to a position where the game can say that you've caught up. I was fearing for his future because it looked like he might be about to get disqualified, as the safety car is going to be called in at the end of this lap to give us 19 laps of hopefully green flag running to the end of this race. Skysy's gone for a set of soft tyres. I rate it. That's going to be interesting. We'll see how that goes, because they fall off after approximately 2.6 laps of this circuit. And then Kareem in P14 is going to have a hell of a lot of overtaking to do. You've got Grid Jokes, Concept 7 and Chaps, who didn't pit under the safety car on used hard compound tyres. We know they're a bit like bricks on this game, but we'll see how it goes. Lolly to lead him away though, Alex.
Yep, certainly is, and he's going to get on the way now, not even waiting for the safety car to fully come into the pits. And here we go. Lonnie Nova knows that they have to make the most of this hard tyres before the mediums can get a nice amount of warmth, because as we heard from Carl, the hard tyres are basically invincible around this circuit. The medium tyres are not the one to be on, but they have got the extra grip in the first couple of corners. So if Ricky can make that dive on his Italian teammate, then maybe he can get himself up into the lead of this Grand Prix. And maybe Carl can focus on that as well. But here comes Ricky 03. Is he going to dive it? Is he going to send it from this far back? No, not on this occasion. He's going to stick behind him for another lap. We see Dakovic also getting past Chappers. We'll keep an eye on Kareem as well, down in 14th place. And I'll make up another few moves if they've got a chance of getting at least into the points this afternoon. We've got a yellow flag already in Sector 2. It's Dark Viper GT. I believe it's gone straight on, but luckily managed to continue now. So Lolly Nova still leads from Ricky 03, from Carl, and then we've got Formula Kai being chased down by Tom at 97. Or is he going to dive down the inside of Carl? Carl not saw him coming, gave him a little bit of room, but didn't expect a dive bomb from that far back.
This is where the medium runners have got to make their work, though. Tom 97 cruising up to the back of them. Carl on the defensive probably didn't think he would have this much work to do once the safety car peeled in. Still Lolly from Ricky, the Italian duo out in front. Carl should have this covered into the chicane, and very much does. Tom with a 3-second penalty, P5 from Hayden. Emphatic, who's very quietly as well, gone under the radar, got himself into a really good spot. Then come the Racing Bulls and Dak Gavitz, who picked up a couple of places since the safety car came in. Cream up one spot ahead of Skyzy into 13th place. Pitted 4 times, I believe, disconnected 3 times. It's been a hell of a race so far for the former champion. Can he find one more battling drive to get himself maybe into the top 5? We'll have to wait and see with 17 laps of the Singapore Grand Prix to go. But now you've got the boost mode. Is this the opportunity that Ricky's been waiting for? 0.3 of a second the margin between himself and his Italian counterpart. Pulls out to the middle of the road. Doesn't fancy it yet. Down inside into turn 7.
He certainly doesn't, but he is fancying it. Is he fancying the move that will give him the lead of this Grand Prix? Lolly Nova has had this lead for such a long amount of time, and they've just got to hold it for the next few laps while these medium tyres are at their best before the hard tyres become the dominant tyre on the Grand Prix racetrack. But that's easier said than done. A little bit wide there for Ricky at 3, but giving him a little bit of the boost out of the corner for the overspeed going in to what will be the long back straight before we head to the braking zone of turn 14, where drivers have been caught out all afternoon, not least Formula Kai, who's now dropped back a little bit from Carl, almost a second there, going to fall into the grasp of Tom 97 and Hayden Gullis, and of course Infratic, who found himself in the top 7 here.
Hold the back page. Is this Hayden Gullis trying to make a regulation move, a move on pace on Tom 97, who's very close to the back of the Mercedes into turn 14. Looks like Tom's got everything under control, but Formula Kai clearly struggling for a little bit of pace here. Almost a second off the back of Kai. That's Lolly moving all over the road down the main straight, sensing the danger because red light spells danger for the Scarlet Ferrari just behind. Really pushing the Cadillac through the first couple of corners, the first sequence of corners. Is this the first opportunity that could present itself for Ricky to try and fight for what would be his first Creator Series victory? Carl waiting in the wings, just 0.4 of a second off the back of the Italian Gio. Big squeeze over to the left-hand side to the wall. Ricky plunders down the inside. Lolly has to stick it out around the outside. Be careful of the sausage curb. And now still with his nose to the outside of turn number 8. Lolly gives him just enough space, just to the extremities of the circuit and no more. Now gets out of shape over the curb. Ricky chunking off a bit of turn number 9, and suddenly on the back foot as there's a bit of contact with Carl. He tried to dart over to the left-hand side. Gets it inside of the Singapore sling. Didn't quite have the overspeed, hampered by that little bit of contact as well. But for the first time, we see the cards laid down on the table by Ricky 03. Cream with another spot up to P12 at the expense of Chappers, who's on the used hard compound tyres. Make that 11th as he gets the better of Concept 7 as well. This lead group of 7 just starting to pull away from the rest of the midfield.
Yeah, they certainly are. That was a great attempt from Ricky 03. Lolly Nova really pulling the back foot there, but ultra aggressive in the defence. We see another driver has gone down, and we get another full course safety car here, ladies and gentlemen. Lap 46 of 62. The full course safety car is out. Lolly Nova pulled over towards the pit lane, but didn't make that decision to pit. And another safety car has been called out here on lap 47 of 62, and that, I believe, was Concept 7, who is now retired from the Grand Prix.
Yes, it was Concept 7 into the wall at 15. Kareem into the pits. Interesting. Didn't think that was what he was going to try and pull. Going to see what tyres he puts on. Whether it's going to be soft tyres, perhaps.
Oh, front wing change.
Not sure what tyres he's got. Front wing change. So must have picked up damage there at some point, despite the progress that he was making. It is a set of the soft compound tyres that he hasn't used in this race, but they might have been used in qualifying. Yes, 12% have just seen the right rear is his worst tyre. And whether he boxes again to put those mediums back on, not really got anything to lose down in P16. But another little bit of bad luck just sprinkled onto what has been not the best of days for our pole sitter. But still with 15 to go, the opportunity might present itself. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. It has gone bad to worse for Kareem 17 down in 16th place. But right now it is still the same top three that it was on the previous safety car restart. Lining over from Ricky 03, from Carl, who is still on those medium tyres. Now, the medium tyres have not dropped off as we expected so far. We've only done 7 laps of this Grand Prix, but the hard tyres really are not giving what Lonnie Noba requires. He's not liking that set of tyres. Considering his pace on the mediums, he is really under pressure from Ricky 03, a man who was looking for his first win in the Creator Series.
Yeah, I think it would have been expected in those early stages in particular, just while we waited for the hard tyres to fire up. And we saw Ricky really piling the pressure on his Italian counterpart. Carl was fairly quiet once he managed to, well, deal with the assault from Formula Kite just behind. He then had to think about what Tom 97 was doing, because the Mercedes was very close on a couple of occasions to the Red Bull. Still Hayden, Fabio, Vince, Gridjotes and Chris, the top 10, with Green down there now in 15th on his brand new set, although they were used from qualifying, of the red striped soft compound tyres. Skyzy, who did put soft tyres on the previous safety car restart, is now onto a fresh set of the mediums. And I think that's Kareem into the pits once again. That should be for those mediums that he's just got rid of. So that will be pit stop number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus 3 disconnections.
I mean, another set of soft tyres goes on, and that is 15 laps of soft tyres goes on for Kareem 17.
No.
Now, personally, I think that's a bold choice from Kareem to put on those soft tyres, which are 15 laps old. But I'm going to guess, Tom, maybe by the reaction of Kareem, that may not be the right decision.
I'm not sure if he's got another set of soft compound tyres. Surely he's going to come in again. Whether he puts on those mediums again, the game might just default and put the mediums that he put on earlier on. Remember back to the second safety car where he went in for new mediums, but they weren't new mediums because he'd done 10 laps on them. And then he eventually got onto his brand new set of mediums. And then he's had to throw them away because he picked up front wing damage. It's like Canada 2011, just we're without the rain, we're in the wrong continent, and we haven't got him fighting through to potentially win this race. But every single thing that could have gone wrong, out of his control, most of it. Haven't seen how he lost his front wing, but yeah. I don't think the game has done him a solid.
No, and weirdly, considering he's been running in 16th for a while and out of the points, the game's not disconnected him. When he was
That's true. He hasn't disconnected for quite a while. So maybe that's the sign that things are looking up, and this is going to be the greatest last 15 laps I've ever seen from any driver ever. Find it unlikely because he's going to have to stop again. If the safety car comes in this lap, he's up a particular river without a paddle.
And we've just got 10-second time penalty for Scotty Zines, by the way, for ignoring yellow flags. He's overtaking everyone under the yellow flag. I think he's trying to unlap himself. He is a lap down. But unfortunately, unlike in real Formula 1, that's not how it works, Scotty.
The safety car is going to stay out. Mylander can't chop across the apex curve there through turns 18 and 19 to jump into the pits. So it will be one more lap of safety car running as Scotty tries to make his way back through the pack to unlap himself. Hoodie Pete doing the same. And there is Kareem back into the pits. I'm going to jump back onto his stream to see what tyres the game decides. It's almost like a roulette wheel, isn't it? What tyres do we want? We're just going to randomise it and see what comes up. Is it going to be hard tyres? It's hard tyres that I think he's going to be putting on, that he might have used quite a lot.
15 laps.
He's going. He might as well at this point do the Rainbow Tyre Challenge.
Yeah.
Because he's used, that's his 8th pit stop of the race. We're almost running out of space on our telemetry chart for the number of pit stops that he's made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stops. I stand corrected.
It doesn't show up even what tyre it is on our telemetry. That's how many pit stops he's done. So those are his hard tyres from his 3rd stint that he put on for 15 laps. And now he's got to get them to the end of the Grand Prix. As Scotty Zines, by the way, gets a 10-second time penalty for a severe collision with Infratic.
And Fabio will be desperate not to get a collision with that. We know that if you get driven into under safety car, you can sometimes, as the innocent party, get given a penalty as well. But Fabio is going to be delighted to see that he hasn't got a 10-second penalty strapped to his name, and he can continue on to potentially pick up a top 5 in this race, because Tom97, with that 3-second penalty, will be hoping and praying that this is the last of the safety cars. Because if we continue to see them, there's the safety cars in this lap, so that's Kareem knee-deep in it at the moment on his 15-lap-old hard compound tyres. We are going to get racing once again with Lolanoba battling away with Ricky, Carl and probably Kai as well to the flag to try and cling on to that first win of the season. No winners so far this season on the grid. Most of them are at the Gillen Games. Opportunity for somebody to take a stamp on this one and try and get themselves into the championship fight. With, of course, Alex Gillen, championship leader, missing. Tim McMurdoch, second in the championship, missing as well. Tom97, third in the championship, but he has got a 3-second penalty looming over his head as there's an Audi going very, very wide through the chicane. I believe that is Scotty Designs. Exit stage left as we are back on the loud pedal, and we will start lap number 50 with 13 to go. Be unlucky for somebody. Will it be Lolly as he loses the race in the closing stages? We'll have to wait and see. With Ricky, Carl, Formula Kai and Tom97 hot-footing it after the reigning Creator Series champion.
We'll see how this one ends with 12 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen. We've had 4 safety cars, 3 main ones, 1 virtual safety car, and it's all still to play for with a few laps to go in this Grand Prix. Tom97 pushing for that top 4 finish on track. Of course, he does have that 3-second time penalty. Molinova 2/10 faster, 2 tenths ahead of Ricky 03 down in P2, but he's really pushing for that position, and Carl, the man from Clipbook Corner that started this afternoon, is now in P3 on the racetrack. And we haven't had any clipbooks. I'm surprised he's not done his job while he's racing, actually. It's a bit of a farce, really.
Cannot believe that he has not been on the clip, but trying to get everybody else to stream up, taking clips for us to analyse, because there's been a hell of a lot going on, as that is Kai getting out of shape through the hairpin of turn 14, and once again renewing the spoils perhaps between himself and Tom97. Tentative little look, 50-50 look down the inside into 14 for Tom. Eventually decided, you know what, I don't fancy that one, and stays watching and waiting behind the Red Bull drive with Hayden Gullis, P6, ahead of Infratic and Dak Gavins, who's dropped grid jokes to the tune of 1.6 seconds. So it's a runaway group of 8 drivers in this lead train. Ricky all over the back of Lolly heading into the penultimate corner. Penalty picked up for Puryear, down in 16th at the moment. Kareem with a position taken, but he's only 17th on 15-lap-old hard compound tyres. The pole sitter not finding himself on the right side of luck once throughout this Singapore Grand Prix. But once again, Lolanoba under the cosh here, fighting for his first win of the season, first victory as a Creator Series champion. But he's going to have to get his elbows out here, because Ricky 03 lying in wait to try and take it away from his Italian counterpart. Deja vu from earlier on as the squeeze is employed, but this time Ricky with a better run. Little bit of contact sees Lolly take to the runoff area. And Carl having a look to the inside. Big lunge back down the inside from Lolanoba. Slams into the side of Ricky. Rolls out the red carpet for Carl to say thank you very much and take P2. And that looked a little bit desperate there from our reigning champion to try and cling onto the place. Maybe not happy and feeling he was forced off the road.
Yeah, it seemed like a little bit of a dive from Lolanoba. And yes, you could say Ricky maybe forced him off the road, but he had the inside line, and that corner is notorious for running wide on that curve. As Formula Kai is now making the move as the 2 barge wheels. Formula Kai has got himself up into that P3 position. Lolanoba has gone down from 1st to 3rd in the space of 3 corners, and that is not good news for the Cadillac driver, because there's a lot of drivers who are hungry behind him for another place position. Those hard tyres just not working at all for the current reigning champion, who looked like he was going to get his first win, and it looks like he's not going to finish on the podium at this point.
Knee deep in it, Lolanoba getting it from absolutely all angles. Our chat has deteriorated as well, as Razin has seen. We're for some reason talking about which of our toenails or which of Alex Gillen's toenails we would cut. Definitely not something we want to be discussing, as Carl really close to the back of Ricky into turn number 1. A 10th of a second was the smallest gap that we saw between the Ferrari and the Haas car. Ricky never won in the Creator Series before. Carl has appeared twice and has picked up a victory. It was on debut where he defeated Formula Kai in a race-long scrap. As that is looping it out of turn 5, that's Lolanoba lighting up the rear tyres. Ragged is our reigning champion, and Tom97 back into the equation. Has to be the long way round into turn 7. Not brave enough under brakes. Tries the cutback. Lolly all over the show at the moment. wild, but does keep 4th place in his clutches. Hayden Gullis could be thinking about a potential podium too if things continue to go awry in front. 3-second penalty for Fimex. Emphatic Datkovich still at the trail of this train. Cream 70 up another spot to 16th. No, he's not, because he's been bumped back down to 17th at the expense of Dark Viper. Kai trying to cling onto the leading duo. Lolinoba massively under the pump, corner after corner.
I think he's overdriving the car here, Tom. He just seems to be pushing a little bit too hard on those hard tyres, not getting the heat he wants in them. But for Clipbook Carl, he can see his name in lights, and he can see possibly a second Creator Series win on the cards here. 3 races in his career for Creator Series, and can he get 2 victories out of it? Down the inside he goes, wheel to wheel with the Italian, but can't make it stick. Ricky 03 also looking for his first Grand Prix win in the Creator Series as well. And can we see an Italian, or will it be Clipbook Carl on the top step of the podium? If Clipbook Carl wins, they're going to think we rigged it.
Absolutely. Come on, Carl! No, we're absolutely impartial here in the commentary box. Don't worry about it. 0.2 per second, 0.3 per second. The gap between the Ferrari and the Haas, as once again they plummet down the hill into turn number 5, where Lolly almost threw it into the wall. Code Brown moment for the reigning champion. Managed to catch the slide with an arm full opposite lock to keep himself in position number 4. These two have been at it, Hammer and Tom, for the last 30 laps or so. This time it's the inside, just chops across the nose of the Haas at the apex. And once more, Carl can't force his way through. That's not going to stop Kai throwing the dive bomb to the inside of turn 8. Unsuccessful on that occasion and that attempt. Carl wise to that one, able to hang it around the outside and keep hold of second place. As there's a car in the wall, and not for the first time, it is Scotty Design / Jakey. Not sure which one of them is driving at the moment.
Yeah, one of them or the other, but I'm sure at one point both of them have had a spin in that corner. But yeah, that was a huge dive bomb from Formula Kai. I think Carl kind of saw it coming, but he lit a bit, closed the door, but he kind of had to at that point. He wasn't going to let him drive him straight into the wall, so good on Carl there for a lovely defence as Formula Kai continues to push forward. Lolinoba seems to have got himself a bit under control here, but I wouldn't say he's really lighting up the timing sheets here. 31.1 for Lolinoba, Formula Kai 30.9, setting similar pace to the front runners, but not exactly lighting the world on fire as Ricky goes a little bit wide here, and is this going to open the door for Carl as Ricky 03 very defensive there before going to the first corner. They bang wheels, and is it going to be the time for Ricky 03, or is it going to be Carl's moment as he gets into P1, ladies and gentlemen? Clipbook Carl leads the Singapore Grand Prix.
Daggers on his elbows there. Carl desperately not going to play the games of Ricky, who's been robust in his defence so far, and it might be the shoe on the other foot, because here comes Formula Kai with a great run through the flat-out kink of 6. It'll be the inside of turn number 7, real pinch point in the apex. Both drivers turn in, both of them sideways. Lolly jumps off the road. Vince through on Emphatic at the back of this group as well. Tom 97 will get the cold shoulder out there as Lolinoba gives him the big old squeeze over to the wall through turn number 8. Hayden Gullis unable to try and lap that one up, but it's Carl to the lead. Ricky somehow still in P2. Tom all over the road with Hayden right tucked up underneath his rear wing into the Singapore sling. Kicking off here with just 8 laps to go.
The elbows are getting out for all our drivers here at the front of the grid, as we can see Ricky and Carl getting closer once again. Ricky really upset to lose that Grand Prix lead. He knows this is his chance. None of the big boys are here. Surely this is your chance to be the big dog. But when the big dog is needed, Clipbook Carl turns up and just wins. That's just what he does.
That's what he does, but he's under pressure into 16. Carl this time on all the wrong parts of the racetrack. Bulking Ricky, which invites Formula Kai back into the fray. He's now pushing the Ferrari through the final couple of corners. Gloves well and truly off as we start 55. Carl is to be out of ERS, down to turn 1. I think Kai taps the back of Ricky into the braking zone. Yellow flag out, Purye's in the wall. Will there be a safety car? Yes. And that just slows things down. I think Tom 97 very, very briefly got himself ahead of Lolinoba, but he has to hand it back as the yellow flags came out and the safety car was deployed. And that just cools things down once again as we revert to, well, 0 degrees as we chill out for 3 minutes or so, which is going to be nice. But it is Carl who leads the way. Ricky from Kai. Lolinoba suddenly finds himself staring down the barrel of not even finishing on the podium.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's not found that pace on those hard tyres. Are we going to see some pit stops here from the front runners? We'll grab Carl in once we've gone past the pit lane just to see if we are going to get any pit laners. And we got 14 laps from the top 8 here, mediums and a hard tyre runner. For Lolly Noba, on this point, he's really struggling on those hard tyres, but if he pits, he's going to drop himself really far behind. And I don't think it's where he wants to go. Has he gone into the wall there on the right-hand side of the Anderson Bridge?
Lolly's got a 10-second
Lolly
penalty,
Noba.
though. And that is for contact between himself and Kai. So that's another of the perennial contenders falling by the wayside. And Lolly will probably box here with that 10-second penalty, give himself an opportunity to move forward rather than thinking about what's going on behind. The trade-off, of course, is if you get bogged down in the midfield, it could be very difficult to try and pick up those places. Gives Kareem 17 an opportunity maybe to pull off something miraculous in the closing stages. As we head round the final chicane into the final couple of corners, what games of chicken do we play? Carl is going to box.
He's gone for it.
So Carl with the power play. Ricky carries on. Lolly unsurprisingly into the pits as well. And I wonder, with everybody else staying out here, has Carl maybe made the wrong call? We'll see what this group behind us. If he comes out in P7, we'll be pretty happy with that. Chris carries on. And I think he's going to have quite a lot of overtaking to do on those soft compound tyres. 14th. Is it going to be 15th? No, Kareem is staying out as well. So fair play to Kareem, trying to pick up as many points as possible. But it will be 14th for Carl and Lolly in 15th on his set of brand new softs as well. Maybe 16th? No, Dark Viper in the pits also.
He needs qualifying laps until the end of the Grand Prix. So let's grab the man himself and see how he's feeling after that pit stop phase. We're going to bring Carl in. And Carl, we're all sitting here in the commentary box. You were leading the Grand Prix, my friend, and we did ask you earlier, were you going to pit if there was a late safety car? You've dropped yourself down into P14 here, Carl.
I'm here to aura farm. That's what I'm here to do. I mean, look, I could stay out, and I could probably win this race. But is that really what we're here to see in Creator Series? I don't think it is. So I boxed onto softs. I'm going to claw my way back up through the field, and I'm going to put on a show for the last few laps, because win rates are cool, but creating content and making memories is a lot cooler.
I respect that. That
was wholesome, wasn't it? That was nice. What you have inadvertently done is meant that we are most likely going to have a first-time winner in the Creator Series here. We've got Ricky and Kai leading the way. Tom 97, unless something wild happens, which I won't rule out with what I've seen over the last few laps. With that 3-second penalty, probably not going to win, and also probably not going to keep up his run of 4 third places in the last 5 rounds. Hayden in there. I mean, Alex, you said Fabio could win this. He's not too far away. You couldn't keep a straight face when you said that he was going to win the race, but he's got an opportunity now. So if you're looking at those leaders, Carl, from what you've seen so far, who are you backing?
Oh, that's tough, you know. That is tough. Honestly, credit where credit is due. He has kind of annoyed me. He's just basically shoved me off the track a bunch of times. But we'll ignore it, because I will admit, Ricky's speed is phenomenal. He's got something about him in Singapore. I don't know what it is, but he is quick round here. So fair play to him. If he can get the race win, happy days, because frankly, he deserves it. He's got immense speed on him. Do you know what, though? Do you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see a Hayden Gullis masterclass, because I feel like there's going to be fireworks up front. Kai's done a couple of very aggressive attempts at overtaking on both me and Ricky. So I think there's every chance that something hits the fan, and then Tom might finish first on track. There could be a Hayden Gullis special.
We've just seen from Gareth. Can we get a heart rate monitor? Can we see what the BPM is for Hayden at the moment? If he's in need of potentially having to dial 2
Near
nines
palpitations, I suspect.
How concerned he is with the palpitations. He doesn't have it. Oh, that's a shame. We can't see how nervous he gets, and we can't keep an eye on it. If he does
it's
find
gone too high.
He's dead then, clearly, with what we're saying with that. But heading into these final 5 laps, probably, what's the aim? What kind of position are we targeting, Carl?
P1.
I respect your optimism, my friend. Do you know what? Honestly, have some fun. I'm going to aim for top 5. See how we go. If it happens, happy days. If not, I gave it everything I could. So let's see where magic lies in this track.
We will leave you to try and uncover said gold dust then. Thanks for chatting with us, Carl, for what will probably be the final time in this race, unless something happens on this restart, which I don't think any of us are going to rule out. But let's try and have some fun, and we'll see how far up the orbit you can get yourself.
Good luck, Carl.
Thank you kindly. Dinner bizzle. Thank you, guys.
So I just want to say he's here that our impartiality, where I cheered him on, quite obviously breaking the commentator's code, and then he went to play the moral high ground by pitting has made me look like an idiot. So we'll ignore that and we'll return to the battle for what should be a first Creator Series victory. Ricky 03, Formula Kai, Tom 97, the Joker in the pack with that 3-second penalty. Ricky punches it out of turn 17, and with 5 to go, count them down everybody, Ferrari versus Red Bull out front. We had one Italian leading for the majority of the race. He's now down in P15 after a 10-second penalty. It's Ricky that leads them. He has not been in this position this late in a Creator Series Grand Prix, and he's got one of the punchiest drivers just behind, looking to steal this victory away from him.
He certainly does. Scotty Zines, 10-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. Let's ignore that one for now, as Carl is already making moves. He's already up into P13, getting past the very unlucky Kareem 70, or does he? Can't make it stick at the moment. Those soft tyres are basically, he's driving a spaceship against a Cadillac. As someone gets past on the inside, Lonnie Noble also going for those dive bombs as well, who's also on those soft tyres, as Carl almost gets squeezed into the wall there by Lonnie Noble. These two surely don't want to fight as they bang wheels once again. Don't annoy the Italians, Carl, there. Make sure you keep them nice at arm's length, as he's also trying to go for that move down the inside. Right now, Ricky still leading this Grand Prix, and as you said, Tom, he is a few laps away from what will be immortality for him. He gets one chance to win this Grand Prix, and maybe it will be only a chance for a while, and he's going to try and take it with both hands.
Got to take your opportunity when it comes, and you can't rely on anybody for going for that kind of strategy. Got to beat what's in front of you, and so far Ricky has avoided the chaos, avoided the penalties that have befallen other people, avoided the disconnections that have hampered the pole sitter Kareem 70's race as well. As M Skyzy up to P9, Carl picks up another spot, makes it 13th at the expense of Fimex. As we start 59 with Ricky from Kai, Tom 97, Hayden Gullis, Datkovitz and Infratic in this lead group of 6 cars. Probably the runners and riders that will be fighting for this race win, unless Lon and Ober and Carl can get their skates on and maybe leave them sweating bullets by the time they get to laps 61 and 62 on the brand new set, the brand spanking new set of the soft compound tyres. Half a second the margin that Ricky's got in his back pocket over Kai. We're looking at Hayden Gullis, who's very close to the back of Tom 97, but doesn't fancy it into turn number 7. Kai's off the road just in front though. I think he got very close to the back of Ricky into turn 7. Ricky now wide through 8. This is where things could just start getting a little bit messy as they know what's on the line.
Yeah, the pressure, the psychology that's running now. It's not just about obviously crossing the line in first place. You've got to think about the crowd. You've got to think about the audience that's watching you right now. You know that this is your best chance at a Creator Series victory, and you are only a few laps away from it, but 4/10 the gap. And then you've got some really fast drivers behind, some drivers that have established this league for such a long amount of time. But for Ricky 03, can he finally get it? Can he finally get that win that's eluded him for such a long amount of time? Or will Formula Kai take one back here?
Pretty closely contested stuff. Tom 97, former winner, not going to take it. Datkovitz, former race winner as well, but has a little bit too much work to do, you would think, in the closing stages. We enter lap number 60 as we round the final couple of corners. What is going to happen here? What a run that is for Kai coming off the final corner. Ricky doesn't bother throwing the defensive shape. Does he roll out the red carpet? Got to try and hang it to the outside. Takes a trip off the road. Exit stage left for the Italian race leader. Jumps back on the circuit. Spat into the path of Kai. Now has to deal with Tom 97 though. Maybe a little bit tentative there from Ricky as he opened the door wide, and Formula Kai said, well, you've done me the favour, I'll just fly straight on through, pal. And now it's Tom 97 battling away, almost squeezed into the wall. A little bit of contact, I think, between the Ferrari and the Mercedes. Tom to the outside of turn 7, has to go the long way around, contact twice as the Mercedes is bundled off the road. Hayden smelt a gap to the outside on the run into 8. Now Tom lights up the rear tyres, terrible exit. Here comes the McLaren of Hayden Gullis to fight for a podium spot. Gonna inherit it anyway because of the penalty for Tom 97. Vince right there as well, and I wonder if that was maybe the opportunity gone for him to get up into P3 on the road and challenge the top 2 in the closing stages.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, but Infratic is there as well, and so is Datko Vince. Don't count out any of those for maybe Tom 97's podium place. But as Ricky lost it right at the end here with 2 laps to go.
Really tight now, 7/10 of a second. The margin out in front. Has Formula Kai got the pace advantage, or is he using too much of his battery too soon? Lolinoba up to position number 8, trying to salvage as many points possible in his championship crusade. Skyzy dropping down, tumbling down to P17. Something has happened to the Williams driver, thrown out of the points playing positions. Ricky clinging on for dear life as we start the penultimate lap. The because it's Verstappen-esque for Formula Kai out front. 0.8 of a second in his back pocket, but what has he got left in the final 2 tours? Hayden Gullis and Datkovich fighting for what will be a podium position. Same with Infratic, who's just cruising up to the back of them. And with a bit of a slide there for Vince, maybe the opportunity and the door will be open to the Portuguese powerhouse just behind. 0.9 of a second. Ricky clinging on. Can he try and cling onto the coattails of Formula Kai? Give himself an opportunity onto the last lap, or is this race run for the Scarlet Ferrari?
I think at this point, you've got a lap and a half to go. You've got to throw everything at it there, but 0.7 of a second. Maybe it's just come out a little bit too late for Ricky 03. Formula Kai has had some insane pace this afternoon, as we once going to see Carl try to get past Chris here for will be P8 and P9 respectively, as he's really trying to push his way through the grid now. He's not going to win this Grand Prix, but he certainly had a good fun in those last few laps, and that is what we want to see in the Creator Series, drivers driving at full throttle for all of a Grand Prix. As we go on to what will be the penultimate time through turn 15 and turn 16, 17. We are almost there. We are almost on the last lap of what has been a thrilling Singapore Grand Prix.
At the moment, we will be crowning a first-time winner in the F1 Creator Series. Will it be Formula Kai for Red Bull on his return back with a bang, Kai, after not being a full-time driver for the past couple of seasons? Or will it be Ricky 03 flying the flag for the Scuderia? Tom 97 to play spoiler in position number 3 could hand a podium over to Hayden Gullis in the McLaren, who still has Vince and still has Fabio to deal with. Yellow flag out for Scotty Design / Jakey, I think, in the final sector. Cream up to P13 at the expense of Tukey, still battling in that little tussle just in the lower reaches of the points paying positions. This is the first opportunity on the last lap that Ricky's going to get, not close enough into turn 7, and he'll continue to apply the blowtorch to the Red Bull driver in front. Yellow flag out, and again that's a look to the inside, maybe just spooking Kai ever so slightly, who just at the last moment left the door open because he feared that Scarlet Ferrari was flashing through his mirrors and clattering into his side pod. Tom 97 still there, 0.2 of a second back, should maybe finish in P6 depending on the pace of Lolly and Carl. Wide goes Ricky in the second part of the Singapore sling. That might just be his chances gone. Into the wall goes Tukey, who's out of the race. Third retiree joins Perrier and joins Concept 7 on the sidelines. Running out of time is Ricky 03, who when the safety car came in was in the box seat, handed it over to Formula Kai. Didn't put up too much of a fight. Will he be regretting that one? One last braking zone for Ricky to find a way through. 0.2 the margin. Does he slide it to the inside? He's very late on the brakes, but Kai has it covered. And the Red Bull man should be back with a bang here. Just a couple of corners left. And on his return as a reserve, finally Formula Kai breaches the first place charge. And here's the victor. Although it's Hayden Gullis over the line. Who would have thought it? Hayden Gullis is your winner of the Singapore Grand Prix. What a storyline as he absolutely steals it at the last. Infratic with an excellent final couple of corners to take second place, well deserved for himself. Formula Kai, I mean, what can you say? You cross the line first and you still don't get the race victory. He's been bumped all the way down to 8th place, poor lad. Kareem, what a comeback to finish on the podium as well. After everything that's gone on, you can't deny him that bit of fun. But it is, we'll take away the silliness now. Formula Kai is your race winner. Finally finished second place on a number of occasions. I think he's got 5 second places. Finally will stand on the top step.
Yes, that's certainly a fantastic victory there for Formula Kai. Ignore anything you see on screen now, ladies and gentlemen. That is not the result. No, Hayden Gullis has not won the Creator Series. Yeah, it's Kai from Ricky from Hayden Gullis. I mean, Sky Designs has also got fastest lap apparently.
A fastest lap. Let's just get the number up again because we saw 2:20 from Scotty Designs. Gives himself the fastest lap of the race. What a performance from the man who was backwards about 16 times and has, if I read this correctly, 52 seconds worth of penalties and 14 warnings. I mean, he should have been given driver of the day. That goes to Fabio, who finishes second. No idea where he actually finished. What the stats people make of this, we'll have to wait and see. I think it's Formula Kai who picks up his first ever win. Cleanest driver goes to Hayden as well, so he's had the best day of his absolute life jumping in that McLaren car. We are going to show the final result. Oh, no, we are. Hayden from Fabio from Kareem, apparently. Chappers with his best result in the Creator Series. Down at the bottom, we lost Perya and we lost Concept 7. Tukey retired, but he still finishes ahead of Hoodie Pete and Scotty Designs. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Jess, I don't know what kind of analysis you want to do of that, but off you go.
I'm still speechless with what gone on with the times there. But honestly, Formula Kai, Alex, on his return to the Creator Series, just comes out on top and well for it, because he driven a very good race and did the strategies when he needed to.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly did. I think we're going to take that as Formula Kai did win that Grand Prix. I mean, he did cross the line first, no matter what the timing sheet and no matter what our telemetry
Well, he didn't,
says.
though, did he? He didn't.
Well,
you know,
he
stats
clearly
don't
didn't.
lie.
Maybe he had penalties that we did, visible penalties that we weren't aware of.
When have the FIA?
3-minute gap on our
When have the
telemetry, by the way.
FIA? When have the FIA ever got anything wrong?
Never.
So
Never in his. I mean, Hayden Gullis is waiting in the cool-down room. He's ready for his P1 interview. So, I mean, I think he did finish P3 legitimately. Yeah.
Yeah, let's get our podium sitter in, but on our screen it said you won the race, Aiden.
Race winner. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time I've put myself as a race winner in a Creator Series race or counted wins that didn't belong to me. But I'll take a podium. That is insane. That is insane. I feel like I've been knocking on the door for a few weeks, so I'm glad to finally, get in there. And this is a shiny new room for me. What is this?
And honestly, your pace this season has been incredible, and you gained quite a few places since the start of the race. Talk us through that start. 'Cause you started on the soft like everybody else. Was it clean for you?
At the start, no idea, because I got booted from the session. My game crashed literally as the lights went on.
Oh yeah.
So I come back into the race and I am in. I think it was like P14 or something like that. So I didn't really gain or lose. And then it was just the usual that I've had, in all the races so far I've taken part, just chipping away, picking off a few overtakes here and there, working my way back up into the order, work my way back up into, I think it was like a net P5. And then the safety car, which was kind of what I was banking on that late stint going to mediums. I was just holding out in the hards, wait for the safety car because it's a Creator Series, it's coming.
Yeah, I think I wasn't surprised, because I think I saw Lonnie Noba do the same thing, but unfortunately it didn't work. Him going on to the hards instead of the mediums. It seemed to me the hards to the mediums was the preferred strat around it. Did you think the hards were gonna warm up, or do you think after that second safety car the mediums were just the right tire to be on?
I think with the amount of safety cars we had after it, I think the mediums were the right call at that stage. I think if there wasn't any safety cars, I think the hards would have come into their own. The hards are really good tire. Overheating is definitely an issue around here. The softs are just awful with overheating on the rear right. And you just want to kind of make sure you're utilizing those tires in clean air. I was banking on that safety car to come out to switch to the mediums, because I noticed people like Chris that I've overtaken and other drivers did a huge undercut on me. So I knew that I would possibly get stuck behind them. So I just needed to carry on, hope that maybe they were getting stuck in some traffic of their own, or the safety car, which happened, came out. But yeah, I think the mediums and the hards, both good tires. But I think that at the end, it was definitely the mediums was the right call, as you saw with all the drivers who were on the mediums. And with the safety cars, it just allowed you just to take a breather for a second, especially me, getting that shaky leg. I'm not used to being up at the front. So it just allows me just to calm down a little bit, regain myself, and then just allow the tires to cool down too.
And it seemed to me in the final safety car, people staying out was definitely the right decision. And battery management, again, like Hungary, a bit easy compared to other tracks we saw on the calendar. How was the battery management in this race?
Yeah, I think definitely a bit easier. I was very glad that a lot of drivers stayed out in the last stint, because I was booted. I would have then had to, if I boxed the softs, it would have just put me on old soft tires that I used at the start of the race. So I had to just stay out on the mediums, and I was very grateful that everybody else stayed out on the mediums too. But in terms of battery management, I do feel like I'm pretty decent at the battery management this year's game. It was kind of a similar race to maybe Monaco, where you'd be behind a driver for a good 4 laps. You'd have to fight them so they'd lose the boost from the car in front of them, and then just work them down. Just chip away, allow them to lose their battery, and then when they're out, that's when you've just got to pounce on the straights. It's not like a Madrid where there's a lot of easy overtaking opportunities. So yeah, battery management was certainly more difficult or easier, but then that made it more difficult because it just made it difficult to overtake because everyone could just defend so well.
Like the overtake train. We used to have the DRS train. Now we have the overtake train.
Yeah.
Next week we have a special track, the Fan Vote Grand Prix. What track would you want to see, and what track would you not want to see the fans vote for next week?
Well, I won't be here, so I want it to be the toughest circuit on the calendar, I feel like. I don't know which one that is. The one that most people dislike, which I feel like was Hungary. I quite like Hungary, but I feel like most people dislike it. So, what's a track that we haven't had it's a bit of a pain?
Mexico?
Mexico. Something that's going to be really painful on battery as well. That's what I want, Let them suffer. Although I still am yet to do a circuit in Creator Series that is a big battery drainer, apart from maybe Austria, but I feel like Austria's not too bad. So,
No.
hopefully I get involved in one soon where I could see whether I'm actually good at battery.
Yeah, potentially. Massive congratulations on another podium, and it was not your first time where you got a podium with all the big players out, but well deserved, decent points, and we'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening.
If all the top drivers are away, I'll be there to claim another podium.
Yes.
See you next time. Bye.
See you, Hayden. I was gonna speak to Ricky, but he's deafened himself. So there we go. There we go. That was good timing. Ricky, that was a really good fight towards the end there. Just missed out on your first Creator Series win, but you gave it your all out there.
Thank you. I was trying to win this, but Kai was so fast at the end, so. I'm good with this. I'm good with P2, another podium, and I hope the next race I can do more. So for the win.
I'm liking that attitude there, because it seemed to me you had the pace all throughout the race as well. You qualified P2 as well, so you had a good qualifying. There were probably moments where you didn't think you were going to get that as well. You of course also started on the soft compounded tyres with other people around you struggling. What was your strategy in terms of battery management throughout the first half of the race before we had those safety car manicness?
Yeah, it was a really tough race. The pace was awful for everyone, I think. I said, okay, we go aggressive for the start. So we put the soft. And then I predicted 3 safety cars, or I'm missing something. 3 safety cars we had.
I couldn't count. There was so much.
3 or 4,
I counted them.
I don't know.
Yeah, 3 or 4. We had loads. 100% guaranteed. Of course, you saw you had your battle with Carl, and he went into the pits towards the end of that final safety car. You probably thought it was the wrong decision to pit, but it turned out to be the right thing to stay out, because everyone who did pit, they struggled to make their way through the field.
Yeah, it was hard to overtake today. And when I saw the car in the pit, I said, okay, that's great for us, because I thought that was good to stay out and battling for a P1. So I did, and I missed the P1 for like very small sense, because Kai was faster, okay, but battling with him, that is a reference for me, is so good.
Yeah, it's always good, isn't it, to race against faster drivers, being able to improve. But
Yes.
to take into consideration, you are the highest ranked full-time driver today, so you're going to gain a lot more points than the other full-time
Yes.
drivers for you. Of course, no GB68. Pretty much most of the championship contenders not here, apart from Lonnie Noble. So you're gaining crucial points on him. How is that going to come into effect, fighting with your former teammate going into the second half of the season?
Yeah, today I had the first time, I think, to battle with Lolly, and I'm very grateful to battle with him because we are like Italians,
Buddies.
so yes, buddies. So yeah, when I saw him to get the penalty, I was saying why always him, because this season he is so unlucky. So yeah, I hope we can battle in the next race. And yeah, I'm glad that I'm the first of the
Full times.
the full times drivers. And yeah, I went for the maximum point, and I did. So
I'm looking at your results. Actually, this will be this is your first podium in the Creator Series this season as well. So good job on you. Fan Vote Grand Prix next week. What track would you want to see? What track do you not want to see? To give fans some clues.
I want to see Guitar because it's my favorite track. I don't know if it's good with these cars because I haven't did Qatar so much. So I don't know, but it's my favorite. Mm-hmm. And then one I don't want to see is probably Brazil. Yeah, Brazil, of course.
Oh,
I hate Brazil. I hate Brazil so much.
I think a lot of people could agree with you on that, but we don't know how it's good on battery. It may be bad on battery, but there you go. But massive congratulations, really well deserved result from you. I'm sure the Italians will be absolutely celebrating tonight, especially in the chat as well. So any final shout outs you want to give to your viewers, your fans before we interview the winner?
Grazie a tutti.
Yes,
thank you for
there
everyone.
We go. Love it. That's for you, Italians. Congratulations, Ricky. We'll go and let you enjoy the rest of your evening. Well done on P2.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Ricky. So now then, let's get into the commentary box. For the first time in quite a while, he returns to the Creator Series in style. He picks up his first victory. Formula Kai, congratulations. How did it feel to be a race winner?
And sweet as hell. It's been a long time coming. Oh my god, the last few laps were the craziest laps of my life. And glad to have been able to do it. Hell yeah.
Honestly, those last few laps with yourself and Ricky was just nail biting. Of course, you both stayed out in that final safety car. Talk us through how you got that advantage, because it seemed to be the first half Ricky had the advantage, but you seemed to have the upper hand with the tyres, because you are usually very good with tyre management. Do you think that made the difference today?
I think so. Definitely played in my favor in the last stint. I think that's something that I realized in the hard stint, that my pace was not too great. Like my raw pace was not the best. So I knew with the last stint when we went on to the mediums, I had to change my strategy a little bit. And when I went straight and then Carl overtook me when I was on the hards, I kind of stopped believing. But when Carl dived into the pits at the last safety car, and then I thought, okay, this is it. This is my chance. If I go in, it's probably not gonna happen today, and I'm glad I did. God, that was intense last few laps. My left leg, my braking leg was shaking so hard. But,
yeah, it must
fair
have
play
been.
to Ricky. He was fast today.
It must have been. I think whoever would have won today, I think would have been well deserved, because it was a first victory for you as well. Obviously, the hards were a bit of an issue for you. The mediums were pretty good. How was the battery management at the start of the race on the soft, trying and get past some cars? Because quite a lot of drivers were saying it was hard to overtake, despite the fact that the battery management was a lot easier.
Yeah, because I don't think Singapore is really battery limited. You have so many braking zones where you get to recharge so much, but since everybody's burning all their battery on every straight anyways, and then you start to derail when you get close to the top speed, it makes it very hard to overtake unless you're in P1 or P2. So if you're in P3 or P4, for example, when I was behind Carl and Ricky in the second stint, there's not much you can do unless something in front happens. So you had to just be patient wait for the opportunities, and I definitely got a little lucky today.
Sometimes in creator series, luck is important, but the pace is even more important towards the end. It's what puts you there that gets that position. So you absolutely did it. Now this is the first time you've been racing in creator series, but you've obviously been doing some races across other different series as well. How have you been finding the new regulations, the new DLC?
Definitely some getting used to. I think Ayrton Senna will be maybe rolling in his grave a little bit. If you see a gap, you gotta lift off the throttle and recharge the battery for the next straight. So that part is definitely counterintuitive, but overall it's great. Like with just the base game of F125, what they've been able to come up with, it's actually very, very. They cooked. That's all I gotta say.
I think everyone finds it difficult, so you're not the only one there. But your first reserve race this season, your first win. If you do race next week, we head to the Fan Boat Grand Prix. I'm going to ask the same question to our other drivers. What tracks would you want to see, and what tracks would you not want to see if you had a chance to race next week?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think everybody wants to see. Is Las Vegas on the calendar?
I will double check. No, it's not, according to our producer in our ear.
Then maybe Las Vegas it shall be. It's always been great for the spectacle. I for once have a very rich lore at Las Vegas.
And what would you not want to see?
What would I not want to see? I would say Silverstone or Monza.
Yeah, those are battery limited tracks. Yeah, I could see why not those two tracks. Definitely not Monza, because Monza's an absolute nightmare. But there you go. Kai, any final shout outs you want to give before we wrap up the stream?
Shout out to Ricky. I know he was also fighting for the win today. That's why it made everything so juicy. God, the last few laps were probably some of the most fun racing I've had in a long, long time. And GG's. Shout out to the supporters and to all the haters. Better luck next time.
Love it. And I'm being a bit biased because obviously I support Red Bull. So congratulations, Kai, on your first win in the Creator Series. We'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the broadcast team.
Thank you, Kai, and thank you, everybody. And we are about to wrap up. Hopefully, we'll get some final thoughts from our the rest of our team. And we do have Carl on camera. Well, before we head to our commentators, Carl, that was a really fun race towards the end. Yeah, you picked up a lot of cars there. How was it the end for you?
That was fun. It's fun. It's exactly what I want this kind of experience to be. I think it's what Creator Series should be. Just. I don't know. I think when I came to that last safety car period, like I say, I could have stayed out and maybe I could have won the race. You can never absolutely ascertain whether you could, but I just came out there to have fun. I came out there to have some battles, and boy, did I have some battles all the way until the end. Lolly, you are a cheeky man. If you win the championship by 1 point, I know why. It's fun, really. No, I enjoyed every moment of that last stint. It was tetchy, but we had fun.
Yeah, I think our producer had the picture-in-picture as we were seeing you trying to get past other cars. London Nova also in the same problems in the end as well. It just showed it was just difficult to overtake with it being a track which is so easy on battery.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, it's a similar kind of paradigm you got with Monaco and Hungary, truth be told. Truthfully, I think overtaking, I could have made it easier for myself, actually, because a lot of people weren't that confident on the brakes, even on tyres that were the same age as me. I felt like I had the edge in terms of the braking potential that I had, which is good. I like that, but yeah, entertaining, I think is the main word of the day I can use. It was an entertaining race out there. Congrats to Kai, first-time winner. I knew there'd be a first-time winner. I just, didn't know who it was going to be, so fair play to him. Good job. I'm glad Ricky got a podium out of it. His pace was phenomenal out there. And Was Hayden that got a podium as well? What a guy. Surely a race win's coming for him soon.
No,
'cause
no,
he's
no.
been
He
on
won the
fire this
race,
season.
mate. He won the race.
I know, yeah,
joking.
according to F126, that's no lie, yeah.
Yeah, the stats don't lie, but yeah, Hayden is his first podium of the season, and you considering you climbed your way up the field so quickly towards the end there, good result for you. Do you think if there were no more safety cars, do you think you could have challenged Ricky for the win today?
Yes, I do think I could have done. I think particularly the last medium stint, a lot of drivers, I could tell they were like putting the ERS into medium. They were just trying to blaze up their rear tyres. And that was going to come back to me. I was a lot more tentative on the traction. I think I would have had the overall grip as we got onto that last phase of the race. But again, it's all an active kidology, you know. I think you can say, oh, if Grandma had, you know, Max Verstappen quote. But look, like I say, I came to have fun. I had real fun. And again, it was an immense period. Sorry if I let anyone down if you were screaming at your monitor going, why the hell is he pitting? What an idiot.
It was the right reason. It's for content.
Exactly. I'd like to think it's for a wholesome reason. And we had some good battles out there. And I had some very unorthodox moves. And yeah, very good fun. Very happy.
Tom Wilkinson actually was quite gutted that you came into the pits. And speaking of Tom, shall we get all four of us in the commentary box to sleep in that race? Tom, you must have been disappointed when Carl pitted, but there you go. He gave us a good bite. So anyway, any final thoughts from you, Tom?
There you go. That noise probably. I don't think we ever expected Singapore to be so wild. Like, that was really fun. Vibes were great throughout. So many different parameters. We headed into the final restart with about 5 drivers that could have won. 4 of them could have won for the very first time in the Creator Series. We had Carl and Lolly charging through the entire field. Like, as a chapter in this season, that was a really fun one.
I agree, pretty much. There were times where I was hoping to go in for a race rundown, but I just couldn't because it was just so busy. You and Alex, by the way, doing a great job. But Alex, going to you on that one. Of course, with the amount of safety cars that we had and with different strategies, obviously ending on the medium tyres seemed to be the strategy to be on. Ending on the hards or pitting on softs at the end just didn't work for a lot of the drivers today.
Yeah, those hards seem to really not want to warm up towards the end of that Grand Prix. They sort of like the middle stint when Carl was on those mediums compared to, I think it was Lolly was leading the race. No, Lolly was leading the race on the mediums and Carl was on the hards. You know, that seemed to work in the middle stint. But towards the end of the Grand Prix, with all the safety cars that we had, nothing seemed to want to really warm up at all. And I was going to ask Carl, does Carl have any clips to show us? Because obviously he was in Clip Corner this afternoon. So I just wanted to see any clips to analyse.
Yeah, about that one, I had my hands tied, mate.
Oh,
You're not doing your job, mate.
honestly,
I know.
Gareth hires you for one job, and that's it. It's just
If you give me-
outrageous, really.
If you give me 5 arms, 2 heads, and 3 computers, I might be able to. But
To be fair, it was the producer's idea to get Carl on the rig last
is
minute
true.
there. Yeah, if anyone's to blame, you should blame the producer, not Carl. but there you go. I think to sum it up, I think everyone enjoyed that race, and I hope you enjoyed it too. So we're going to wrap it up there. Of course, next week we got the fan-voted Grand Prix, where keep an eye on our socials up there, Creator Series GG on most of our socials, where you, the fans, can influence what track you would like to see our creators race in, and maybe to see your favourite creator potentially win that one. So as soon as the vote's open, make sure you keep an eye on our socials. But where we can find us, we'll start with you, Racer Carl, Clipbook Carl. Where can we find you?
well, I'll tell you what you can't find me doing, and that is selling salamanders on the streets of Singapore. You won't find me there. But where you will find me, if not on the top step of the podium is 8th place, but also at my name, Carl Paranik. If you type that in on any of social media, you'll probably find me there. And now into reverse order. Alex Heron, where can people on an interweb find you?
You can find me at Deflink10 on Twitter or any sort of social media post. Obviously, I'm going to give a big thumbs up to our producer before he can stop me from doing it. So well done, Gareth. Thumbs up from Gareth Allen there. But Tom Wilkinson, where can people find you?
You can find me marshalling those skylight jacuzzi things in Marina Bay. Yeah, Wilco.com's Instagram and TikTok. Lovely stuff as usual. Jess, where can people find you?
Well, where people could not find me is down under, but where people can find me is at JessGames95 everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, X, Twitch, whatever. So follow me if you can. And as Alex pointedly corrects me, thank you to Gareth Allen for obviously producing and with all the cameras behind the scenes as well. Without him, of course, there wouldn't be a broadcast. And thank you to all of you at home for watching, supporting your favourite creators. It has been an absolute pleasure to bring you this really great race. Yes, we've had 11 drivers missing, but did we still deliver a great race? Of course we did. And, of course, Ricky O'Free being the highest full-time driver to score points. And, of course, we have a first-time winner of Formula Kai. What's the story going to be next week? And will we see a change in the championship between our championship contenders? I've been Jess Bourne. Of course, we've had Tom Wilkinson, Alex Heron on comms, and Carl, of course, in commentary in corner doing the racing. Thank you for watching. We'll see you all next week for the fan-voted Grand Prix. Have a good evening, everybody. Goodbye.